and we'll say mid-80s for Easter Sunday. I think it'll be a cloudy day and maybe isolated storms holding off till late Sunday or Sunday night. A better chance Monday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
1819 News.
U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville is calling congressional Democrats a complete disgrace. The senator is reacting to a flight that was taken by Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen to the country of El Salvador in order to seek the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who has been living in the U.S. illegally in the state of Maryland and was recently deported back to El Salvador to a special prison for MS-13 gang members and other violent criminals. Tuberville says that Democrats are prioritizing the return of illegal criminals over the safety of American citizens. The mother of a young woman who was murdered by an illegal alien in Baltimore, Maryland, says that Senator Chris Van Hollen never so much as met with them after Rachel Morin was brutally murdered.
And to have a senator from Maryland who didn't even acknowledge or barely acknowledged my daughter and the brutal death that she endured, leaving her 5 children without a mother so that he can use my taxpayer money to fly to El Salvador to bring back someone that's not even an American citizen. Why does that person have more right than I do?
I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Covenant Rescue Group seeks to directly support organizations and agencies that are fighting the global battle against human trafficking. They do this through funding, procuring, and advocating. You can go to covenantrescue.org for further details. They need your donations, guys. Hop on and donate.
State Representative Corey Harbison has officially resigned from his elected office position. Harbison has spent over 10 years serving in the state legislature. Prior to that, he served as the mayor of Good Hope. Harbison says he's leaving elected office in order to spend more time with his wife and 3 young children. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
Hi there, I'm Madeline Cannon with Alabama Home Mortgage. Getting pre-approved is the first step towards home ownership. People are often scared or nervous about taking that first step, but I'll tell you, it's nothing to be scared of. At Alabama Home Mortgage, we will take the first step and every step along the way with you. Call us at 567-4223. We will gather the information needed to tell you exactly what you qualify for. After a call to Alabama Home Mortgage, you will know what price point to shop for, what down payment is required, if any, and what your monthly mortgage payment will look like. We take all the guessing out of it. Then, when you find the house you want to make your home, you are ready to make an offer. Along with your offer, you will submit your Alabama Home Mortgage pre-approval letter. This shows sellers that you've already taken the steps necessary to ensure that you qualify to purchase their home. Wait no longer. It's time to take that first step together. Call me at 567-4223 or start the process online at myalabamahomemortgage.com.
That's Alabama Home Mortgage because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-36-8, Equal Housing Lender.
For reliable electrical services in Central Alabama, trust the experts at Crosby Electric. Crosby's licensed and insured electricians are ready to tackle any project for your home, from troubleshooting, repairs, to installing new lighting and preventive maintenance. And Crosby understands the need for quality service for small business. Crosby is big enough for the largest job, yet small enough to bring real value. Visit CrosbyElectric.com to schedule your service. Crosby, powering Central Alabama with excellence.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers.
It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
With cocaine, more than anything else you can think of.
Cocaine will turn you into a damn owl, homie. You know what I'm saying?
That's how you conduct yourself in a democracy.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into the program on a beautiful Thursday out of Montgomery, Alabama. Beautiful other than the pollen. So much to get to today. Very happy to see being reported in all places, New York Times. Trump canceled plan to strike Iran that the Israelis, in particular Netanyahu, was really pushing. Instead opted for diplomacy with Iran. We got all sorts of federal judge rulings, economic news, and we're not going to be talking about cocaine. That's the last administration. But right now, we're going to talk a bit about hemp, CBD, other products derived from these substances. Here in Alabama, there have been bills after bill, after bill, after bill. One just passed the House here in the state legislature, I believe yesterday. There are other bills competing in the Senate. We'll see what shakes out with all this. But joining us to discuss this, I met her a few years back at the Libertarian Party convention here in Alabama. And she's in the business, let's just say. Talk to Jennifer Boozer. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Joey? It's good to talk to you again.
I'm in a great spirit, great mood today. So first, before we get into what the legislature's up to, let's give some folks Jennifer Boozer 101. Tell them about you.
Well, I opened my hemp dispensary in the summer of 2018 and started teaching classes about what it is, what it does, how it works, how to use it, because it's something that I found it changed my life. I was just compelled to share it with everybody, and I had to start learning how to explain it to people because I didn't understand it. I just knew it was amazing, and it was something that I had been looking for a long time. So I couldn't explain it to my mother without her thinking I was going to be in a ditch with a needle in my arm, because it's the devil's lettuce and the gateway drug. And my mom was a kindergarten teacher for 30 years. So the DARE program, it runs through her veins. And so I had to convince my mom first. And when I started learning about the plant, I fell in love with it and just discovered so many more things that I could use it for to help people. And so Cannabama was born out of that. And then about a year in, FM Talk 106.5 here in Mobile came to me and said, hey, we did a show with an occupational therapist about CBD. It was huge. We got a slot open. We love to do a show about it, and we'd like it to be you. So I've actually have the only FM radio talk show about cannabis in the country that I know of. There used to be another one, but it got canceled. And so Sweet Home Cannabama was born out of that. And so I'm on the radio every Monday night at 7 o'clock down here in Mobile. We live stream it now, and it is a TV show now on Citizen Green TV, which is on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon. I'm trying to teach what the plant is and what it isn't so we can take the fear out of it. And when you take the fear out of it, you can combat some of the fear-mongering, which is exactly what's happening in Montgomery and has been for the last few months. And I believe we're up to 8 bills, Joey.
Oh, my goodness. Now,
8 bills.
Let's focus it on the one that just passed the House. This one, it keeps a lot of this legal. I don't want to characterize it too much, but I don't like it because it's essentially like, let's have the ABC board run this with a huge excise tax thrown on top of it. How is this going? How do you view this bill? How would it affect your business?
Well, HB 445, as it stands, is a backdoor ban bill. I don't care what anybody else wants to call it. It is a backdoor ban because there are several key points in the bill that individually would put us out of business, will not keep the products out of the hands of anyone, and would push people into the black market, bankrupt all of us. And we're talking about 10,000 jobs, a whole lot of tax revenue, just for nothing. A federally legal product, and everything that we do meets federal regulations. That's one word they use a lot is unregulated. That is categorically untrue. There's not a whole lot of regulation, but the regulation that is there federally and in the state law, we follow to the T. And most of us, meaning the ones of us that have hemp dispensaries, that this is all we do. It's not an addition to some other liquor store or some nicotine shop. This is all we do. We do not sell to children. The 6-year-olds they keep bringing up in the poison control calls. I've never had a 6-year-old drive their vehicle to my store, put their wallet of money they earned on the counter and say, give me some THC.
Right.
That's just never happened. And no one ever wants to talk about parental responsibility there. But the 5 milligram cap on products alone will put us out of business. The smokable flower ban alone will put us out of business. The vape ban alone will knock enough of our inventory out to hurt us, and some of us wouldn't even survive that. So there's a lot of things about this bill that they technically allow us to stay in business, but leave us nothing to do business with.
Yeah, I hear you. And yet there are other voices. I believe there's a bill in the state Senate that is trying for outright banning. So there are folks
Absolutely.
that think the bill you described doesn't go far enough. And so, like, how would you talked about fear mongering and how you came to this on you had to convince your own mother, who was a kindergarten teacher. What would say the top things you'd want to stand up and sort of knock down here that you're hearing from the legislators?
Well, one of the things that Representative Andy Witt said was that per the CDC, a 50 milligram THC gummy is equal to a bottle of 80 proof vodka. And that is not at all what the CDC website says. It says they don't know how to compare the 50 milligram THC gummy to 80 proof vodka, not a bottle. But they did go on to say that you could compare it to drinking a bottle of wine. And now for a first timer or someone who doesn't have intractable pain or cancer or MS, that's a lot of THC. But for people who, I was a chronic pain patient since I was 15 years old. And I actually I quit taking opioid pain pills because they were making me suicidally depressed and killing my quality of life at 37, And so when he said 50 milligrams of THC is equal to a bottle of 80 proof vodka, I looked at my neighbor and said, well, I had 100 milligrams at lunch. This is insane. I'm sitting here clear-eyed and coherent and perfectly fine, but I had my medicine. And somebody else in that room might have had 60 milligrams of Oxycontin and is nodding off,
Right.
So there's a lot of things. He wore blue gloves. He wore blue surgical gloves holding an unopened can of THC seltzer with CBD in it and an unopened bag of gummies. I said on my radio show, he deserves an Oscar for the best actor in a drama because that's ridiculous. They also tried to connect it to the fact that people may use THC gummies to subdue women in sex trafficking. We've heard all sorts of crazy stuff. That's just not the reality of what we see every day. I see pastors, grandmothers, soccer moms, all sorts of people, surgeons and nurses and law enforcement even, that come in, and I've got a pastor with a brain tumor. I've got a woman with Parkinson's disease that can't stop moving unless she's had some CBD. 90% of our customers are coming there to meet a need that they can't get met anywhere else. Of course, we can get you high. What's the big deal? What is the big deal? If you can go out, any restaurant, any store, have a glass of wine, have a beer, that's normal. People will ask you, oh, why aren't you drinking? It's the only drug on the market that people want to know why you don't do it. And it's being regulated way less harshly than what they're trying to do with hemp, which has never killed anybody.
Right. And real quick, I want to back up to, if you're willing to share more of your own story, because there are a lot of reasons people might take this stuff as you were laying out there, but in your own story, since you were a teenager, you were on opioids. It was prescribed opioids.
Yes, I got my first prescription for Lortab when I was 15 years old in the 10th grade, because I started having migraines, and I had been given a juvenile arthritis diagnosis. And I was in pain all the time, and it was naproxen before it was Aleve over the counter, and a Flexeril, and I was 15 years old on a muscle relaxer, a pain pill, and an anti-inflammatory. Yes, 15 years old. So,
and by the way, and so you took that you were taking something like that for over a decade or two, it sounds like.
When I had a son that passed away, and I had a uterine and bladder rupture, and I should have died. And so in that recovery, and then the grieving of losing my son, who because of that was brain dead, and this was 2003. There was no opioid crisis. I jokingly say I started it because, nobody. I went to the doctor and was told I was going through withdrawal, and I was insulted. I was like, I don't do drugs, and ironically, I said I don't even smoke weed.
Right.
And I know, and my last name is Boozer, and I don't even drink. But yeah, by then it was too late. I was going through opioid withdrawal, and if anybody listening has ever gone through that for even a day, it's rough.
Yeah.
And so now I get to help people, and that's another thing I get to do. I get to use this plant. I've helped people break years of alcoholism, meth, IV heroin, all sorts of different things that keep people in dire situations, that are ruining their lives, ruining their health. We get to help them turn that around. This is not a bad thing. This is a good thing. It is not a gateway drug. And that's probably one of the most egregious forms of reefer madness. Is that people assume once you smoke weed, you're going to end up on heroin.
Well, and I want to lay out some of the reasonable concerns I've heard, because there are a lot of ridiculous things being thrown out there. But you already addressed one, like selling to underage kids, selling to minors. You don't do that. I've talked to local folks who, right, they don't do that.
Right. Right.
So that should be, if they want to add that to the law, that's pretty non-controversial.
We are all for a 21 and up age gate. In fact, I remember when the federal cigarette law or nicotine law changed to 21 and Alabama went from 19 to 21, we went ahead and started age gating then. We were not legally required to, but we went ahead and started age gating then because I didn't want somebody's mama, some 20-year-old or 19-year-old's mama on Facebook going on about how I'm trying to, whatever people say. I wanted to make sure that if there was ever any doubt about Canabama, they don't sell to anybody underage. And that was years ago before any of this legislation popped up.
Well, and then
there's always a gas station in every community that will sell to a kid if they're tall enough to reach the counter. I can name a few specifically in Mobile County right now, and they stay in business selling beer, nicotine, and these products to kids. And the ones that are in gas stations, I go to expos and there's these guys that go and they buy things, the cheapest things they can find, pennies on the dollar compared to the rest of us, because they're buying for 600 gas stations in Texas. And then those gas stations get a box of stuff they've never seen or heard of, throw it up there, and who knows what's going to happen.
Well, and that brings me to my other question, product quality. And for instance, I've been saying if you're buying, say, some Delta 8 right next to the horny goat weed at the Circle K, you're probably, that's on you, man. But
and the stackers and the erectile dysfunction pills and everything else they've got in there.
And so, I'd imagine the stuff you bring into your shop, and I've, again, talked to people locally here who run some of these shops, that you already have, say, quality control, and you look for, say, independent testing, I'd imagine.
Absolutely. And especially for me, when you're as public as I am, you don't have a choice but to hold yourself to a higher standard, because I'm on the radio every week telling people how to know what they're getting, how to know when they're getting scammed, how to know when they're getting garbage products. If one more person emails me about Kevin Costner selling CBD gummies or Tom Hanks selling CBD gummies, I'm going to scream. But that's one of the reasons I give my personal phone number out on my business card to every customer, because if they're on a cruise to Alaska and they go into a shop and they need to get something, I want them to be able to show me the label if they don't know how to read it or know for sure what's going on. Product quality is the most important thing in this, and we all feel that way. We don't buy products that aren't third-party lab tested. You know what I mean? We don't buy from companies that will sell in a gas station. I had a product line once, and I went to stop and get gas somewhere, and I saw one of the products that I had in my store in that gas station. I immediately went to the store and pulled it off my shelf and called them and said, if that's what you want, then you can forget Canabama, because I'm not doing it.
Right.
I'm not doing it.
Well, and you mentioned something earlier. You said this could impact 10,000 jobs here in the state. And as you already established, this is essentially a de facto ban. Again, there are other bills, folks, who want an outright ban, but this new regime that was passed through the House, we'll see what the Senate does. This is a de facto ban. So 10,000 jobs, that number, when I first heard it, I'm like, that seems high, but
you're talking about smoke shops, really. If you're talking about independent dispensaries like me, you're talking about smoke shops that also carry hemp products. And then that also includes, some of the other businesses that sell it. You can buy CBD products in a lot of different establishments, but it goes hand in hand with businesses like gyms and yoga studios and places where people have injuries and sore muscles, occupational therapy, physical therapy. We've got doctors' offices that sell it in Mobile, and I've got doctors that keep my brochure in their lobby, and they send us people from the cancer center and from different places where they know that people need this, but they don't actually provide it themselves.
So what do you think's driving this? Because I think there are groups in the state that don't want anybody.
Alcohol and cannabis.
Okay.
Alcohol and medical cannabis.
Right. Well, and I wanted to make clear that there are groups in the state that would love to see alcohol prohibition back, and it's
the Eagle Forum and
yes.
groups like that are they are typically way more conservative, and they don't want anything that could change your frame of mind.
Right.
But what I don't understand is, why is it socially acceptable for someone to be on Xanax and Lortabs and Oxycontin and Ambien, which can all kill you?
Oh, yeah.
And it's highly addictive, and sitting in church and everything, sitting in their jobs, driving in their vehicles.
Well, heck, taking too much Tylenol can kill you or really harm you over
well,
time.
I mean, let's be honest. Drinking too much water can kill you.
Well, and as you just described in your own life, what is it, acetaminophen and these painkillers? I mean, that destroys your liver just as much as anything else. So, my point about bringing them up is I don't think they're the ones necessarily driving the car here. You just said it. Say it again. Who is actually, you think, driving these bills in this session?
The alcohol industry, and they're not trying to hide it, so I'm not telling a secret, okay? They want control of the THC beverages. They're not doing this because they're afraid for their children. They're doing this because nationwide, alcohol is seeing a dip in sales because of the proliferation of the use of cannabis. And these drinks that are going to be sold right next to beers, it gives people an option. And we actually promoted it during our Addiction Recovery Month shows, because people that are alcoholics, they still want to go to a party. They want to go to a concert or something like that and be able to be social and have something to sip on, but they don't want to break their sobriety, And then there's people like me, a couple sips of wine, and I feel like I have been beaten the next day.
Right.
And I don't want to function, but I can eat my gummy and I'm good to go.
Well, and
I can enjoy myself and then not wake up feeling like I may be dead.
Well, and that's what I find just so frustrating about this is clearly they sometimes use, say, the moral argument as a battering ram to shock folks and use the outrageous things like you heard in that committee hearing that you already laid out. But at the end of the day, folks, this is a crony takeover of an industry that's been flourishing in the state since 2018. And I'm frustrated by what I'm hearing over there at the legislature. It did pass the House. Are you hearing anything in terms of the politics of this, of what might happen next?
Well, there was a weird shift yesterday because it was in the Senate committee yesterday. No one spoke for the bill, which is unusual. And they let more than two people on our side speak for more than 2 minutes. And they even asked questions, which it's been very hostile. It's been it's not been very inclusive. And in the beginning, Melson even said, there will be no speaking on this. There will be no public hearing. Even if they get to speak, it won't matter. And I don't know if people giving him a little backlash on that is why we ended up getting a public hearing. But it's been very hostile, and they've barely let us speak. So yesterday was a whole lot different. I'm not sure exactly what's happening, but we're being told that they're going to get together all in one room and put all 5 bills together. I don't understand how you can take 2 total bans and 3 regulatory bills, 2 of them backdoor bans, and come out with something that we're going to be okay with and be able to stay in business. Well, they're punishing everyone. It's just like making the whole class put their head down because one kid wouldn't stop talking.
Well, you mentioned State Senator Melson's name, and you also mentioned it's not just alcohol. It's also, say, other cannabis interest. And I think at this point, when it comes to the medical cannabis commission here in the state, it's still, last I heard, they're still in arbitration. They're still trying to figure it out.
A new lawsuit, I just read it on the 4th, after they lifted the TRO and everybody was, high-fiving, and we're going to move this thing and going to have cannabis by Christmas. And then on the 4th, 2 weeks later, boom, another lawsuit. And the medical cannabis bill is not going to allow smokable flower and vapes. You starting to see a pattern here? They're not going to allow anything more than a 10 milligram edible, I believe, and it's 1 flavor, no sugar coating lozenge for the whole state, peach, I believe, which, ew. Anyway,
well,
but we are their competition.
And I'm running out of time here, so I've got another angle to this. Number one, I'd imagine there's still a lot of people that smoke and procure illegal marijuana, straight up already. And I'm wondering if you had to guesstimate how many folks show up, say, at your shop, or you imagine around the state going, thank God I now have a route where I don't even have to deal with any of that. I can actually get
every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day. I've even had guys that I know have served even a short term for cannabis charges, and they will literally get tears in their eyes the first time they're there because they're like, this is wild that I'm standing. And this has been 5-6 years ago. I've been in business almost 7 years. I was the first dispensary. And so I've seen it all. Back before we could even sell much, the products just hadn't been innovated yet. The most beautiful thing about it is that the Farm Bill created a free market for hemp. And one thing I want to get in is Senator Melson keeps saying, and Jeff Fort asked me about this the other day, that the Farm Bill was intended for rope. And we are exploiting a loophole. And I'm here to tell you, and I'll send you the text and everything from my lawyer to explain it to you why that is categorically untrue. And if you can read on a basic elementary level, it's obvious. So that I want to nip that in the bud because that is categorically untrue.
Well, I really appreciate your time today, Jennifer. Great hearing from you again. I can tell you do a radio show all the time. You're a great advocate for your point of view, and I very much share it. I think this is incredibly frustrating, and I've used stronger language in the last weeks. But
the people of Alabama will suffer, and I think that Senator Melson has even admitted that if the hemp goes away, the people of Alabama will suffer. We are the only access they have to plant medicine right now, and that is not on us. That is on them. And most people in Alabama don't even realize medical cannabis is legal because they can't see it on the street. So, we got a lot of work to do. But yes, I've been doing every radio show about this for 2 months. I'm well versed.
And again, folks, we've been talking to Jennifer Boozer. If folks want to follow you and what you're talking about, keep up on this, how can they do so?
Sweet Home Cannabama. You can look for me on YouTube, watch all the past episodes, but we're live every Monday night at 7 o'clock on FM Talk 106.5. Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, and Citizen Green TV.
Well, thanks again. We'll hopefully we'll chat again soon. Appreciate it, Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Joey.
Again, folks, Jennifer Boozer. I thought she makes a good case, and I find a lot of as I'm reading into these things, I find it ridiculous, and it's I think it's a vestige of the old progressive movement. I mean, the old one from the early 20th century. Now, you might say, well, we're not like the progressives, the coastal elites of today. I'm like, no, most folks in Alabama are not like those. So you get a few hick libs. Pardon me for using that word. But I think there is a mentality of we need to control. We need to have a small controlling club and group of interest that if people are going to make money off of it, well, it's going to be the few players who know how to lobby the best, not the people that actually provide the product in a good way. And as you just heard from that call, there are plenty of things. There are people who are currently operating, have been operating since 2018, that would go, yes, this is common sense. In fact, because we want to be good stewards of our product and good business owners and make money, we already do quality control checks. We already don't sell to minors. So there's plenty of things you want to add it to the law. That's great. It's amazing how in this world, too, it's not like a legislature came up with all the good laws in the first place. Most of the good laws, most of the common sense things we have in our world come from the British common law, a process of give and take over centuries. And often what you see is developing practices, protocols, methods that are established on a free market before a government ever steps in. And yet governments will find the worst actors. They will find the worst case scenario. And then they will use that as an excuse along with a moral argument that honestly, at the end of the day, doesn't make much sense to me. And they will push it to then tax it, regulate it, and benefit certain big players who know how to lobby rather than how to run and operate a business well. I guess their business is politics. Their business is favoritism, privilege, and pull. In this state, not just on this issue, on so many other issues. That's the nature of this state. It's a horse trade. It's pay to play. And they say they do this for your safety. Of course, they do this for the safety of your children. When the whole time there's just a few cronies, a few good old boys getting rich while they put other people out of business. It's gross. It's stupid. And, well, I guess it's par for the course here on so many issues in Sweet Home Alabama. How about this? Let's hit a quick break. First, I want to talk about a great small business who sponsors the show. That's, of course, Josh and Leslie Ryder there at Dillon Rings. And at Dillon Rings, well, they're ready to help you with any and all of your jewelry needs. It could be you want an appraisal. Could be you want a spa treatment. That piece of jewelry you wear all day, every day. It looks like you wear it all day, every day, and you still love it. But what if that jewelry you love could shine and shimmer like it's brand new again? They can do that for you there at Dillon Rings. Also, the custom design work by Josh is truly spectacular, not to mention the great inventory and selection that Leslie puts together, from high-end pieces to everyday jewelry that won't break the bank but still looks great. They really can do it all. They truly are a full-service jewelry shop. So y'all check them out today. I'll tell you a little more about them coming up, especially the birthstone for this month. But y'all stop by 119 Brown Springs Road here in Montgomery. Again, that's 119 Brown Springs Road. It's just off of Atlanta Highway, sort of the back end entrance to the AUM complex. And be sure to tell Josh and Leslie that Joey, that fella on the radio, sent you.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Mallinson with Georgia Floors Direct. Easter is upon us, and I want to talk to you about the cross. The man who was dying on the cross with Jesus was a terrible sinner. He deserved to be crucified. He deserved punishment according to the law, and he said he deserved it. And he turned to the Lord and he said, Lord, remember me when you come into your kingdom. That's all he said. Remember me. He didn't have time to be baptized. He didn't have time to join a church. He didn't have time to do anything but just believe. And Jesus said to him, today ye shall be with me in paradise. Think of it. The first person that Jesus took into paradise with him was a thief, a murderer, a man that deserved hell. But on the cross, Jesus was dying for people like him, people like you and me. So when you see a cross, know that the cross is your redemption. Jesus is your redemption. This is Jeff Mallinson with Georgia Floors Direct, and happy Easter.
With Progressive, renters can save on protection for the things that make your place yours, even things that don't make sense to everyone.
People always wonder why I don't get rid of my guitar since I never play. But it's like, what if I actually end up taking lessons? Sure, I've had it for 8 years, but if I get rid of it, then what will my New Year's resolution be next January?
Exactly. So bundle your renters and auto and save with Progressive and protect the things that make sense to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers not available in all states or situations. Covered subject to policy terms and conditions.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce, spruce, spruce.
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
It's Johnny from Sinclair's from Vaughn Road. We've been in business almost 30 years.
Sinclair's East, Vaughn at Taylor.
I think if you hadn't tried us, you should give us a try. We've got a great menu, offered anything from chicken fingers, wings, salads, fajitas. At lunchtime, we do great country lunch with different vegetables and different meats every day.
Sinclair's, where you get great sandwiches and our daily meat and 3 special at lunch, to great pasta, chicken, steaks, and seafood for dinner.
Our most popular items are, we got a soup called she crab soup, which is extremely popular. We've got a bunch of pasta dishes, which people love. Mediterranean chicken is my favorite.
Sinclair's.
We do live music, light stuff on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and then on Fridays and Saturdays, maybe 3-piece bands or 4-piece bands.
Come see why Sinclair's has seen lesser restaurants come and go over the years. Johnny Sullivan Sinclair's at the corner of Vaughn and Taylor. Find them on Facebook at Sinclair's East. Google search Sinclair's Restaurant. Sinclair's.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Woodward, account executive with Blue Water Broadcasting. Why should you advertise with us? Radio is an active medium. It can create immediacy, driving shoppers to a specific store, brand, or to take a specific action. Radio ads engage with the audience in a personal and unique way. Contact me, Cheryl Woodward, by going to bluewaterbroadcasting.com to find out more. Blue Water Broadcasting, local folks helping local business.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by MPM Feed and Seed. It's time to get those gardens ready. From seeds to plants to fertilizer, MPM has what you need. Shop MPM Feed and Seed in Prattville, 1313 Highway 31 North. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, Saturdays, 8 to 1.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Our extended string of beautiful storm-free days continues, and now we've got a warming trend underway. Today, abundant sunshine, high temperature in the lower 80s, mostly clear, not as cool tonight, overnight low 53. Tomorrow, Good Friday, sunshine continues with a high temperature up to about 86. Pretty spectacular April weather. Saturday, partial sunshine. I think the high will be in the upper 80s, and we'll say mid-80s for Easter Sunday. I think it'll be a cloudy day and maybe isolated storms holding off till late Sunday or Sunday night. A better chance Monday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
When news happens, you'll hear about it first. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. That's 334-272-9228. Byron Sheehy joining us in the studio here now. How you doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
Pretty good. Life is good. And, well, we've got some comments rolling in. We see Greg Powell saying, kudos for having Jennifer Isabel Boozer. Yeah, she was great. Jason Baldwin writing here. Let's read this. He says, I was diagnosed with a neurological disease in 2014. They put me on Oxycontin for 5 years. I was taking a total of 15 pills a day. Holy crap, dude, of different medications, but still. I was suicidal in a wheelchair. At the age of 41, and I found marijuana in Florida, and it saved my life, and I don't take any pain pills. I love this woman. She has a great heart, and yes, coming off pain pills is nothing but total hell. And you can quit smoking weed anytime you don't have withdrawals. Well, it depends on how much, and you might have some crazy dreams and have to adjust, but and bad TV won't be as good anymore. You might not like that frozen burrito. Anyway. Romex Engler saying, great interview. Just listening to her tells me she is well versed in the subject. Indeed. Jason Baldwin back at us saying these big lobbyists are paying these politicians not to pass it because they can make money off of it or to pass these things. And spam, secrets of spam, says Joey Clark Live is serving the community. Now, I don't know about that.
He's right.
Who is the community?
Like-minded, free-thinking, contrarians.
They have to be like-minded? That's making me nervous.
Contrarian, like-minded, oxymoron.
Yeah, isn't it? I was about to say, aren't contrarians contrary to the like-minded?
Island of Misfit Toys.
Oh, yeah. I'm a squirt gun that shoots jelly.
I don't know what I am. I'm trying to figure it out. Slightly annoyed.
No, I think I always remember that from those old stop motion animation, like Christmas movies, Island of Misfit Toys.
I got the reference. I just couldn't pull anything.
I'm just thinking of that. That gun always makes me laugh. It's like, I'm a gun that shoots jelly. And that one guy's a dentist. Yeah, we know what that means.
He was in the Abominable Snowman, I believe, the Christmas animation.
Let's go to line one. You're on the air. Who's this?
My name is Cameron.
Hey, Cameron, how you doing? Good to hear from you.
I'm doing great because I'm sitting here on a beautiful lawn listening to your show.
Well, wonderful. What's on your mind today?
Well, the topic that you're talking about has interested me. The way I was raised, I've never touched it. But I was born, I'm an American citizen, but I was born in Thailand. And as you know, Thailand is the Burmese Triangle. So my father taught me the dangers of using it for, just simply using it. But now, as an adult, I realize there are plants that science has proven can benefit the human condition.
Amen.
So I'm fascinated that our nation is trying to find a way to take a second glance at plant-based pharmaceuticals. I still won't use for myself personally, nor did I raise my kids to be of a mind to become dependent.
Sure.
But I think our nation is taking a good second look at one of nature's products and finding a way to utilize it.
Yeah, and it's again, this has been the legal regime here in Alabama since 2018, and just now, 7 years later, we got to change it because of all the horror stories we can come up with, which I don't buy. Like I saw one point made that 2022 is the first year there were more car accidents because of THC than alcohol. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Now, one thing with cannabis advocates, I could have got into it with Jennifer Boozer, and she probably would accept this. There are downsides, obviously, if you take too much of this stuff, and there's clearly you shouldn't be operating a vehicle or heavy machinery and if it takes certain amounts, if any. But also, they don't have sound testing for when you find, say, there's an awful crash, a terrible, tragic crash. They don't really have a good means of, like, the THC stays latent in your body for a while.
Right.
So, like, you could not have been, like, really out of your gourd at all. Like, so I don't know where they're getting that stat from. Maybe you're seeing more and more folks that have certain cannabinoids in their system after a crash, but I'd imagine what's in the rest of the toxicology report.
I think they can do short, like, near-term testing with some swabs.
Right.
Like, I do think that they've been able to advance and get results in real time at the scene of a crime.
And what's amazing about this is the teetotalers are not happy with the current legislation being pushed through. They're saying it's a de facto, like, legalization of recreational marijuana. I'm like, guys, this has been the legal regime for 7 years. So I don't know what we're freaking out about necessarily. Y'all are just getting hip to this, just getting wise to this. But then you have this whole other group that's clear. It's the alcohol industry, and it's the other, say, interests that thought they had their little crony system worked out with cannabis in the state.
Right.
And
100%.
it's just, that's the sort of thing that drives me nuts. People on a free market basis are finding solutions and making money. You heard her say 10,000 jobs. And they're like, nope, we just got to blow this up for XYZ reasons. And it just seems absurd.
Some of the regulations that were included were just completely, like, not being able to use the organic flower part, and it's got to be consumed via vape or consumption edible. Ridiculous.
Well, I appreciate the call, Cameron. I think you make a great point.
Sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Yeah, and I could go into the RFK Jr. clip I have, him talking about autism and whatnot, what he thinks might be.
There's videos on YouTube anyone can pull up. Just go type in epilepsy and marijuana treatment and watch people stop shaking for the first time in decades in some cases. I mean, the tangible, real effects for medical conditions are very well documented.
Well, and I'll put it this way. I think there are some folks that just do drugs so they feel good, and then they get dependent and they don't know how to stop.
Yeah.
And it could be drugs that really won't kill you, but you're still dependent on them, or it could be you end up where it's drugs that can kill you. Usually, the underlying reason a person, though, is really addicted is not the chemical hook, unless I guess you're talking about nicotine. Talk about a huge chemical hook. It's usually a psychological hook. And often people are getting into self-medicating, whether they know it or not. This is often what they're doing. They're looking for that click to go off their head, cat on a hot tin roof with the alcohol or whatever. There are reasons people drink. There are reasons people do these other drugs, and there's often an underlying psychological issue that leads them down that road. Folks might say, well, I mean, then they should have just gone to the doctor because, you know, all the psych meds have worked so well from the official pharmaceutical sources. Yeah. And in fact, you have folks, there's so many stories. You just heard it from Jason, the commenter on the stream. You heard it from Jennifer in her own life. There are so many folks that are prescribed opioids. The opioid crisis were prescribed, get hooked. It is hell to withdraw from those things, to get over these things. And people found this toehold to make do and get by. And you're like, well, they should have never been. Okay, shoulda, woulda, coulda. We're in a situation we are in now. It just, again, the fact that there are crony interests in this state that are going to make a lot of money off this while they use the teetotalers and the moralizers as a battering ram to scare people. It's disgusting. And you know what? I'm starting to think the best things this legislature does are their mistakes. Like with the overtime tax cut. We didn't know it was going to cost $300 million. We thought it was only going to cost $30 million. It's going to be a little beta test. We thought that, and it was a mistake. We got to take it back now. That was one of the best things you did. Your stupid mistake on that. We didn't know. We thought the 2018 hemp bill was only for making rope. Like, well, then no, number one, you don't think that. Especially because your medical cannabis bill is still up in smoke and not anything actually being manufactured. And honestly, I don't blame people on the commission. I don't blame people that have been involved, like trying to make it work. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking the way it was drafted in the first place was nonsense and crap. So it's just, why is it that Alabama's mistakes are some of their best things? Like, oh, we didn't mean to do that. And I'm like, yeah, maybe if y'all just get out of the way. And now you're bringing out, I've been trying to be on this reasonable kick. Just abolish the frickin' legislature. It'd be amazing how well this society would function without those a-holes meeting up. I'm sorry, I've been down there every Wednesday. It's absurd. It's like crappy high school drama. Everybody worried about, well, how do I look? So-and-so said something about me. It's like you are full of crap. You're self-important. And most of what you do does not improve the vast majority of people's lives. It improves a few select interests that you get in your pocket. Drives me nuts. It's a crap system. Are we going to abolish the legislature? No, of course not. We're going to run more people and we'll have a governor and stuff. I get it. But so much that it's common sense and the best laws we have, they didn't create. They were created hundreds of years ago. And it's just based on common sense. Yeah, maybe we'll just throw the 10 Commandments up there like they're doing in public schools. Not a bad idea. Let's just live by the 10 Commandments. And y'all go screw yourselves. And if you want to sue each other in court and adjudicate something, do that. And stop it with this top down because I know a guy and he knows a guy and I was able to raise this money and I was... Oh, it's nonsense. They act like, oh, this is self-government. No, it is government of a few to impose on the rest. Well, why don't more people vote? Because I think most people in this state understand it's nonsense. It's crap. Excuse me, pardon me.
No, man, I'm proud of you. I'm proud to call you a friend and don't ever change, man. This is why people listen to this show, is for that sort of real authenticity. So thank you.
Anyway, tomorrow to begin the show, House Majority Leader Scott Stadhagen will join us to talk about the softball game they're having at Riverwalk Stadium against the Mississippi legislature to raise money for charity. So I'm happy to promote charitable causes.
We're in a good mood, remember? Let's go.
I'm generally in a good mood. But man, sometimes it just gets to you because it's not just the cannabis thing. It's the tax stuff.
It's everything.
It's the way we do budgets in this state, the way we run elections in this state.
Yeah, but
the way ideas are even talked about in public in this state, the fake niceties in this state, where people, instead of saying F you, buddy, say, God bless your heart. It's the most crappy saying the Lord's name in vain thing I've ever heard of. Well, we can't say a GD in this state, but I can use the Lord's name to tell you, screw you, go step off.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I will. Maybe I'll just go live in Florida or something. Go live in the Panhandle. It's essentially Alabama, but a lot cooler. Same folks, same culture. We got a lot of great things in Alabama. Don't get me wrong, but the legislature's culture ain't it.
Yeah, that ain't one of them.
The insiders in Montgomery ain't it. They go wine and dine, get fat and drunk off the money they earn by manipulating your asses. It drives me nuts. I'm tired. I've been around it too long. I've been around it. I've seen not even half of it, and I've seen enough.
I've seen my fair share, and I'm more than grateful for people like you, my friend.
Anyway.
Without people like you, all we're getting is the message that they send out. So thank you.
Well, thanks, man.
I mean that sincerely.
I could hit another break. First, this part of the program brought to you by a great sponsor, Bo Goodson and the Goodson Group. And they're at the Goodson Group. They're ready to help you with buying or selling here in the River Region real estate market. Bo Goodson's been helping folks do that for about 50 years now, half a century. It's pretty amazing. And not only at the Goodson Group can they help you with all that experience buying and selling property, they have management services available should you want to rent out your home. And of course, the Goodson Group is also the home of the Bo Goodson Real Estate School, one of the most highly acclaimed and accredited real estate programs here in the state of Alabama. You want to be a licensed real estate agent? You want to be more knowledgeable as a private player in the real estate market? Check out the Bo Goodson Real Estate School. You can always learn more online at thegoodsongroup.com or give them a call at 551-0225. That's 551-0225. Bo Goodson and the Goodson Group. Great sponsor here of the program.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Hey guys, this is Todd Clark with River Region Contracting, your premier roofing contractor in Central Alabama. So remember the name, River Region Contracting, for all your roofing needs. We're not affiliated with any other roofing company in the River Region. We've been in the roofing business since 2005. We don't have to buy our leads, and we don't have to knock on doors when the storms come around. We have thousands of satisfied customers throughout Central Alabama. So call us at 334-356-8635. That's 334-356-8635.
Jenny King, the king of clean, delivers reliable, high-quality commercial cleaning services through a proven franchise model that empowers local business owners. Jenny King's franchise owners receive the training, support, and resources needed to succeed, while clients benefit from tailored cleaning solutions backed by a global brand. Jenny King ensures consistent results, trust, and success for everyone we serve. Go to JennyKingCleans.com and find out how we can help you. That's JennyKingCleans.com.
Jenny King, the king of clean.
The premier place the River Region turns to for news, weather, traffic, and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Byron Shee here in the studio. Singular Eternal Geek writing in on the stream saying the forehead crease and the offset parted wavy and oily look is a whole vibe. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I'll take the vibe. But I have been going through this whole thing of like, if I do nothing, it's poofy. Mm-hmm. If I try to do a little bit of something, it looks oily. And I'm like, I can't win. It's too greasy. It's too dry. It doesn't part right.
There's white and gray, and it's falling here. And why does this not feel full anymore?
Oh, and I am in a mood today because you know what? I've been re-listening while I'm working out in the mornings to Shooter Jennings.
Okay.
You know Shooter?
Oh, yeah.
Son of Waylon?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and he had an album, and it begins with, "This is George Jones." Like, and it's like old George Jones, and I'm helping Shooter put the O back in country. And it's that album always lives in my mind. Shooter's kind of that rebel country, southern rock sound to him at times. Love that guy.
We got some good outlaw country coming through right now. Some like Sturgill stuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Childers. There's a lot of parallels to the old highwaymen and the young outlaw country today.
You know the lyrics to the song by Shooter, Manifesto Number 1?
I'd have to hear the song.
Well, it's about a breakup and like you ran out of your old apartment and stuff, but the refrain comes, it kind of picks up from being a sad country song to like there's and so he said, "Let your hair down, get out of that skirt and leave them high heels on. I'll be in the back of my black Cadillac when Jesus comes to call his children home." That's the mood I'm in today. You can
know where to
blame
find
Shooter
me.
Jenny.
You know where to find me.
But here's a better mood
Mm-hmm.
because it is Holy Week. And it is. And I'm like, well, how do we talk about this? How do we address this? And actually, Trump, the president, had a service, big prayer service. So let's begin. This is Trump this morning. And I don't know if he said stuff like this last term, but I don't remember it being this prominent. Let's listen in.
Nearly 2,000 years ago, during the sacred week, the living Son of God entered Jerusalem in triumph. Soon after, the Savior of mankind, who brought truth and light into the world, was betrayed, arrested, and tried, beaten, and nailed to a cross and crucified. For our sake, he gave up his life, and as the very great Reverend Billy Graham once said, God proved his love on the cross when Christ hung and bled and died. It was God saying to the world, I love you. Those are beautiful words from a great man, Franklin, right? A great man, Franklin's incredible father. Nearly.
Yeah, it's always refreshing to hear even that president referencing 3:16, John 3:16.
Listen, man, I don't claim to know what's in any man's heart, but after the event,
Yeah,
I have to
after the
imagine-
assassin,
yeah,
that one
I-
in Butler.
I have to imagine if he's like any other human being, he quickly developed a stronger relationship with God.
But he continued. We got time for this.
3 days later, Christ's followers found the empty tomb. Jesus had defeated darkness and death and promised new life to all of humankind. And that's what we celebrate each year at Easter as we joyfully proclaim on Sunday, he is risen. The death and resurrection of Jesus are the essence of the Christian faith. Whether rich or poor, healthy or sick, young or old, or in times of peace or war, Christians everywhere find solace and hope in the knowledge that Christ died for them and that they could be united with him in heaven. And that's what we want. That's what we all want. The miracles of Holy Week set in motion a transformation in human existence. Countless millions of Americans have been moved by Christ's example to heal the sick, defend their families, lift up their communities, and make our country stronger, better, and greater than ever before.
Tim, that was the president this morning. You could hear you couldn't see him, but you could almost hear the people nodding in the room. We got to hit our top of the hour break. Second hour coming up first. This part of the program brought to you by James Cole and Cole Plumbing. And they're at Cole Plumbing. They're ready to help you with any and all of your plumbing needs. Could be an everyday issue. Low water pressure. That's no fun. Especially if you're trying to take a shower or like wash a pan or something. Wash yourself, wash the dishes. It doesn't work if you don't have water pressure or it doesn't work well. Maybe you got a clogged drain. Like you got a lot of hair like I do, and it keeps going down that drain as you wash it and whatnot. And, well, maybe it could be the kitchen sink. It's not working. Could be you need to upgrade to, say, a new garbage disposal. Maybe in the bathroom, a taller toilet, new shower fixtures, things you want to change up. Or it could be you have a massive problem like a tree root invasion or a gas line leak or a major water leak inside or outside your home. Well, Cole Plumbing has the technology. They have the means and methods unique to them that can get in there and solve that problem with minimal discomfort to you in your home. They're not going to have to tear out a bunch of drywall, dig up a huge trench in your yard trying to find the leak. With precision and expertise, they can solve that issue for you. So go ahead and save their number. Maybe you're all right now, but it could be you're in a jam soon. Save Cole Plumbing's number. That number, 279-8919. That's 279-8919. And just remember, folks, when you have trouble with your bowl,
call on Cole.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
This is an SRNU special report. I'm John Scott. The FBI and local police in Tallahassee, Florida, responding to a shooting at Florida State University. Late reports say people have been sent to a nearby hospital. A Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare spokesperson has confirmed it was receiving and treating people affected by the shooting. However, spokesperson Sarah Cannon said the hospital cannot yet confirm the number of people in care. Unconfirmed reports say 4 people are now being treated. Ambulances, fire trucks, and patrol vehicles from multiple law enforcement agencies raced toward the campus midday. after the university issued an active shooter alert. It was near the Student Union building, and various media reports say that the shooter is now in custody. This has been an SRNU special report. I'm John Scott.
3 years ago, I wrapped up a run of Annie playing Daddy Warbucks with the South Carolina Children's Theater. I was about 40, 50 pounds overweight, tired, sick, fed up with the way I felt. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I had to do something. I scheduled my weight loss consultation with PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. And as they say, the rest is history. Just a few months, I lost over 50 pounds. I took control of my health. 3 years later, I've kept the weight off and I feel better than ever. If you are where I was, do what I did. Call PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. It'll change your life. It's fast and simple. They won't let you fail. Just give them a call at 855-696-2020 to schedule your weight loss consultation. That's 855-696-2020. 855-696-2020. Here's the best part. First 11 callers who mention the keyword healthy will get 2 free weeks added to their weight loss package. Don't wait. Call today. 855-696-2020. Mention healthy to get 2 free weeks. Or visit them at myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Our extended string of beautiful storm-free days continues, and now we've got a warming trend underway. Today, abundant sunshine, high temperature in the lower 80s, mostly clear, not as cool tonight, overnight low 53. Tomorrow, Good Friday, sunshine continues with a high temperature up to about 86. Pretty spectacular April weather. Saturday, partial sunshine. I think the high will be in the upper 80s, and we'll say mid-80s for Easter Sunday. I think it'll be a cloudy day and maybe isolated storms holding off till late Sunday or Sunday night. A better chance Monday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Budget Floors and More is your low price leader for everything you need for flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies. For the best prices on luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, flooring installation supplies, and more, shop Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Delray to Publix.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, these are today's top stories. The president and director of the Elmore County Food Pantry Board have been arrested. 61-year-old Jeffrey Andrews and 50-year-old Catherine Hall are accused of theft involving funds missing from the pantry. An investigation has been underway since the pantry's funds began disappearing in July. The exact amount of money missing was not disclosed. A new Hyundai supplier is coming to Macon County. Samquang will be located just off I-85 at Macon County's industrial complex. The company makes automotive components and electronics and expects to hire hundreds of people. Hyundai recently announced it would invest over $21 billion in the United States over the next 3 years. A Prattville woman has died following a 3-vehicle crash in Chilton County Tuesday night. 20-year-old Lindsay Lugan's car ran into the back of another vehicle, then collided head-on with a minivan. Lugan was flown to UAB Hospital in Birmingham, where she died on Wednesday. The wreck happened on Highway 82, about 1 mile south of Maplesville. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Since 1966, Alabama Sheriff's Youth Ranches has been more than just a place to stay. It's been a place to belong. For children facing hardships through no fault of their own, our ranches provide more than shelter. We offer a warm home, a loving family, and a future filled with hope. With open arms, we welcome these young hearts, giving them the love, structure, and guidance they need to heal, grow, and thrive in a warm Christian environment. Together, we can give Alabama's children the chance they deserve, a chance to dream, to succeed, and to feel truly cherished. Every donation stays within Alabama, directly impacting the lives of the children who need it most. Join us in making a difference. Visit AlabamaSheriffsYouthRanches.org. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and download our app from your app store. We'd be honored to have you as a part of our mission to lift up Alabama's youth. And remember this, it's easier to build boys and girls than to repair men and women.
It's officially festival season. Looking for a weekend full of entertainment that the whole family can enjoy? Join us in historic downtown Prattville at Pratt Park for Prattville City Fest. Friday, May 2nd begins with the opening ceremonies at 5:30. Enjoy a concert performance featuring the Rock Mob at 6. And then Saturday from 9 until 4, come back for a day of arts and crafts, food, entertainment, and kids activities. Admission is free. The Prattville City Fest at Pratt Park in downtown Prattville. Friday and Saturday, May 2nd and 3rd. Visit PrattvilleCityFest.com for more information.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers.
It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Byron Sheehy here in the studio with me today. Plenty going on in this wide world of ours. You know, Eddie and I got into a bit of a class warfare yesterday because he's always stopping by. He stopped by the Dollar General to go pick up a candy bar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I haven't been in a Dollar General. I can't remember.
Yeah, I was here that day.
You were here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so get a load of this. I know Dollar General is one thing, but Dollar Tree?
Mm-hmm.
Dollar Tree has said that it's gaining market share with some higher income consumers and could raise prices on some products to offset President Donald Trump's tariffs. So wait, the rich folks, the slippery lips of the bourgeoisie, they're going to go gentrify the Dollar Tree? Can't have nothing.
It's because of all those rare earth materials that they sell at the Dollar Tree, man.
Can't have nothing.
Can't have nothing.
Now, here's some great news. Trump canceled plan to strike Iran. It would rhyme more if I said Iran. Trump cancels plan to strike Iran after extensive negotiation with Israel. Months of internal debate. Attack was planned for May. So I actually just want to, I can't. I forgot I canceled the New York Times and out of frustration. Here's the long and short of it. There were a lot of different players within the administration who were clearly lobbying for a strike against the Iranian nuclear facilities. Clearly. And it's not just within the administration, but I think it was like the National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz, who somehow had that Jeffrey Goldberg guy on. But to their credit, I believe it was Pete Hegseth. I believe it was J.D. Vance. I believe it was Tulsi Gabbard, who were saying, no, I don't think this is a good idea for us to go down that road. And thank God for these folks, and thank God Trump listened to them. Yeah, the Trump administration was divided as Israel proposed the May attack.
Yeah.
In particular, Netanyahu and that unity government now in the midst of war were saying, yeah, let's do it now. As y'all know, I don't like a lot of the crap I'm seeing on X when it comes to the anti-Semitism and yada, yada, yada. But it is a fact, a stone cold fact. You can go back to like the early aughts, if not the 90s, Netanyahu wanted to strike on Iran. Because the Israelis can't do it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They need the United States to do this. Or to do it effectively. And so it's like, so now is the time? How long have they been at the threshold of a nuclear weapon? For 20-something years now?
I think we've crossed that a few times.
Right. Now
I think the number's like up to 3 now. I think they're supposed to have the materials to actually have 3.
Right. And the Trump administration is going to try to drive a better deal. As an example of sort of the Iran, let's bomb Iran, bombs away club, here's Senator Tom Cotton. Let's listen in.
Repeatedly said for 10 years, we cannot allow Iran to have a nuclear
weapon. This is not just a threat to Israel or the Middle East. This
People have been saying longer than 10 years, Senator.
Threat to the United States. They're developing ballistic missiles that could reach the United States itself within just a few years. That's why President Trump left the nuclear deal in his first term, because it was so weak. The only way to get a better deal is to say no enrichment of uranium, no ballistic missiles, no support for terrorism. President Trump has been clear about the terms of that deal. He's also been clear about the consequences. We want a diplomatic deal that takes Iran's nuclear program away, but if not, then there'll have to be military action, because the threat, as you say, is so imminent. Just weeks or months away from enough uranium to create a nuclear weapon, maybe just a couple years away from a missile that could hit the United States. Also, Iran is at a particularly weak moment now after Israel destroyed most of its air and missile defenses and is devastating its terrorist proxies. These things are coming to a head, as President Trump has said, and he's been clear from the beginning. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
Well, it sounded like, the fix was in. The U.S. military was already positioning, and the Israelis were clearly lobbying. And again, the Trump administration was divided. It was Vice President Vance. Thank you, J.D. Vance. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Thank you, Tulsi Gabbard. And surprisingly, because folks think he's a pretty ardent Zionist but Defense Secretary Hegseth also expressed doubts about the plan while many were pushing hard for it. Apparently, Trump told Netanyahu during a White House visit, no American support while negotiations with Tehran continue. And I believe also today the Saudis and the Iranians are meeting.
Yeah, supposed to be.
Because you got to think, you play out the game. The United States, I think, has the means and methods to take out a lot of stuff in Iran. We really do. Then what's next? I suspect the Iranians wouldn't straight attack Israel because they've done that. And, there will be a few missiles to get through, but a lot of that can be shot down. I think where they go is they set oil fields on fire all throughout the Middle East, in particular in Saudi. I think they go for the Gulf Arabs that are clearly allied with the United States. And as much as they hate the war between Israel and Gaza and say so publicly and yada, 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 these were the same folks that were all on board with the Abraham Accords.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all to put Iran in a box. The Gulf Arabs teaming up with the United States, even being friendly with Israel, was to put the Shiite crescent. Now Assad has fell. Good job. We got a bin Laden head chopper named El Jalani running Syria. I'm sure that'll continue to work out well. But the whole idea was to put Iran in a box. So if the Iranians are hit that hard, I think the next step is to make the whole region suffer and make the United States and the world suffer by destroying all those oil supplies.
So with everything
that would be and so what's the next response out of that?
Well, with everything going on economically right now, tariffs and all that sort of stuff, if there was going to be a dramatic shift or someone coming to their aid, China, Russia, all that sort of stuff. So maybe the guys, Hegseth, Gabbard, and Vance, realize that this is our best way to achieve our ends, through the war, through the tariffs or whatnot.
So I like Trump's instincts on this.
Good for his team.
He was elected not to get us into World War III. And in fact, if you think say Steve Witkoff, the special envoy, just met with Putin for 5 hours with a few of Putin's representatives, I don't think they're just talking about Ukraine. I think Russia is a key part of being an ally of a lot of the Shiites and an ally of the Iranians on a lot of these matters. Yeah, but think about, why did the Saudis stop bombing the Houthis? Why did they give up that war with U.S. support after all those years? Because, the Houthis figure out how to create very cheap drones that could blow up oil fields.
Well, going back to some of the Gulf states, where are we in relation on our tariff agreements with them? Are they playing ball with us, or are they more in line?
I'd imagine they are.
Okay.
Yes, I'd imagine they are. They didn't retaliate. So it looks like on that front, Japan is up first. You have the Italian Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, there today in the White House, wanting to make a deal. But Japan, South Korea, I'd imagine Australia really wants to be on board. I even have heard India wants to be on board, which is a huge win. And yeah, I'd imagine Saudi and UAE and so many of these places are on board to make a deal.
They had to be a must.
Yeah. Because I don't think that's spoiled anything. But good on Trump. You were elected not to get us into World War III. You were elected to be the peace president. Now, does that mean sometimes you have to flex and show that strength and sometimes make good on threats? But listening to Senator Cotton there, it sounds like Tom Cotton's almost laying out he's laying out much more of a bright red line than Trump is necessarily. I think Trump is willing to say, yeah, we will hit you hard if you don't talk to us, but he's willing to talk for quite a long time without an immediate result. Whereas I think some of the, say, Iran hawks wanted this done. I mean, it was the plans were there. They're ready to do this at the beginning of May.
You know, I just think that if Trump were to hit a launcher, hit the button, could you imagine the force that he would put behind it? I don't think it'd be any sort of half step.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that.
So I 100% love that.
Or I'll put it this way: Trump wants you to think that, which maybe is the whole game.
No,
he might actually use like fire and brimstone fall from the sky, fire and fury like you've never seen before.
I think the New York would come out in him. I think it'd be
sure.
like, okay.
But the beauty is he's already accomplished something that you think that about.
Right, exactly.
And I think a lot of the world and the heads of state around the world think that about him. Don't let the New York come out in me. And as he's surrounded himself more and more with New York guys, I think that's exactly the name of the game as we're going forward. But that's not the only thing going on in the world. The Democrats continue to defend this guy Abrego Garcia, who's sent to El Salvador. More and more stuff coming out in that regard. The wife of Abrego Garcia in court documents said, "My husband beat me many times." Biden FBI order release of a Maryland father after officers suspected him of human trafficking. So the game of he's just a Maryland father. He's a Maryland man. And then you start to see, no, there's more detail to this. It's an interesting hill to die on. And when you look at the, say, poll numbers, and not even like the most wonderful, it's not like we went to Buchanan at Signal and like, I'm going to pay you tens of thousands of dollars, give me a whole panoply of kick butt polls so we can see the trends. No. You could even go to like the snap polls that like CNN does. And they got this guy who's clearly New York, Harry Enton, who continues, I think, to make CNN viewers, usual ones, like get the sour face because he keeps debunking stuff.
Forget about it.
And so whether you're talking about the men and women's sports and protecting women's sports and protecting women's spaces, that's an 80-20 issue. And another one that's really popular, I don't know if it's quite 80-20, but it has gained steam to where it is clearly a majority. I'll let the New Yorker on CNN lay this out.
Deport all undocumented immigrants. Voters favoring the government trying to deport all 11 million of them. Back in 2016, just 38% of voters wanted the government to try to deport all 11 million undocumented immigrants. Compared to where we are in 2025, 56%, the majority. The American people have come a long way on this issue, much closer to Donald Trump. And I think that's a big part of the reason why Americans are increasingly saying the country is on the right track when it comes to immigration policy, and why Donald Trump's net approval rating on that issue is in the positive.
And on this same saga, one of the judges that was really wrapped up in this at the beginning is Judge Boasberg. And I see a headline at CNN Politics saying Boasberg finds, quote unquote, probable cause exists to hold Trump administration in contempt for violating orders on deportation flights. And I'm like, as I read that headline, I thought the Supreme Court ruled on this, saying you have to give due process, but it needs to be in the place,
the facility,
like where they are actually being held. So it needs to be in Texas or Louisiana, not in some DC district court. Boasberg is not the right venue. But here's the story. U.S. District Judge James Boasberg ruled Wednesday that probable cause exists to hold Trump administration officials in criminal contempt for violating his orders in mid-March, halting the use of the Alien Enemies Act to deport alleged Venezuelan gang members. The long-awaited decision on Wednesday from a judge President Donald Trump and his allies have repeatedly attacked puts the administration on the path towards being punished for thwarting court orders. And again, I'm like, but the Supreme Court ruled on this. The situation has been a major political and legal flashpoint for the Trump White House in its efforts to carry out a historic deportation campaign, especially in mid-March when it sent 3 planes of migrants to a prison in El Salvador. That same day, Boasberg held an emergency hearing and told the administration to pause the migrant removals and order the return of deportation flights back to the U.S. The court ultimately determines that the government's actions on that day demonstrate a willful disregard for its order, sufficient for the court to conclude that probable cause exists to find the government in criminal contempt. Boasberg wrote in a 46-page ruling detailing his decision. The court does not reach such conclusions lightly or hastily. Indeed, it has given defendants ample opportunity to rectify or explain their actions. None of their responses has been satisfactory. So I'm reading that several paragraphs down. And I'm like, again, didn't the Supreme Court rule on this? CNN legal analyst Steve Vladeck said these moves are rare. Voting Vladeck, he's a professor at the University of Georgetown School of Law, saying, quote, holding federal executive branch officials in criminal contempt is just about unheard of. Once in a blue moon. Part of why Chief Judge Boasberg is moving cautiously is because he's trying to walk a tightrope, not letting the government off the hook for its misbehavior, but also not provoking pushback from either the D.C. Circuit or the Supreme Court. If they ruled you're not in the correct venue in the first place, this has to be adjudicated in, say, where you're actually holding these gang members under the Alien Enemies Act, weren't they right to ignore this guy?
Yeah.
That this judge doesn't have the power to order these things?
I don't understand the standing or the jurisdiction. Like, why does this guy's venue? I mean, is this where the original?
Yeah, this is Boasberg. In the case at hand, finally, like 8, 9, 10 paragraphs down.
But if it went up to the Supreme Court, I mean, does it not? Is the burden not theirs to say who's in contempt or who's not?
You would think, but here, finally, CNN gets to it. In the case at hand, the Supreme Court ultimately said earlier this month that the migrants who challenged Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act to quickly carry out deportations of alleged members of a Venezuelan gang brought their case in the wrong court. The court's 5-4 ruling requires those wanting to bring such challenges to rely on a complicated and rarely successful legal process known as habeas corpus and to potentially file those claims in some of the most conservative federal courts in the nation. Oh, no. It's amazing how everything is politicized, by the way. Despite the High Court's decision, Boasberg said in his ruling, it's a long-standing concept in the justice system that a party that chooses to disobey a court order before it is wiped away by a subsequent court order can still be punished. So you weren't supposed to hear this in the first place, along with the argument that you're actually usurping executive branch powers given in Article 2 in the Constitution. But we're still going to punish them anyway.
I mean, is the official response not LOL?
Yeah, I think it's going to be go kick rocks, man. Yeah. Wow.
Like, I don't understand how someone in that position can make such mental gymnastics.
So you've got, in 2016, only 38% of the country said deport all undocumented immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
In 2025, according to CNN's polling, 56% of Americans say deport all undocumented immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
Voters favoring a government effort to deport all 11 million or however many it is. You've got that going on. So what do? The oligarchy that is the media and the oligarchy that is, say, in the courts and the administrative and the unelected branches, they don't give a damn. They don't care they just lost this election. They don't care if it's a 80-20 issue on some other big ones or if it's a 56-44 issue. They're going to push what they can push. It's pretty astounding. And get a load of this. 72% of lawsuits against Trump were assigned to judges appointed by Obama and Biden. And yet, and I know Trump loves this headline from Just the News, Trump is nearly undefeated at the Supreme Court. Now, that's a little bit of a Weasley headline. Nearly undefeated. Nearly undefeated.
What is
It's
it,
like
4-1.
no, you went 14-1. Well, we were nearly undefeated. No, you weren't undefeated. The Miami Dolphins are sending another basket of champagne your way. Like the New England Patriots. They go all the way to the Super Bowl and they lose to Eli Manning. You weren't undefeated. You were nearly undefeated. It was a good season, man.
Was it the El Salvadorian president who pointed out, like, yeah, our judges were acting like this and we got rid of all of them and then we cleaned up our country?
I don't know.
It's either the El Salvadorian or Argentina's here recently.
Well, it was El Salvador. It might have been he cleans up the courts too. It was more he went to war against the gangs running the country.
I'll find it. It was here recently.
And some of that might have been, hey, we're not listening to a judge that we can prove is on the take from one of the gangs. But despite the Trump administration's repeated lamentations over left-aligned federal court judges blocking its executive orders and efforts to shrink the bureaucracy, the Supreme Court has almost routinely allowed his orders to take effect and rebuked those lower court judges for exceeding their authority. While the top bench has yet to formally address the matter of nationwide injunctions on its own, it has handed the administration a number of wins on a wide range of issues, including immigration cases, the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE access to documents, and the firing of federal employees. Lower court judges attracted to the ire of MAGA-aligned lawyers and White House staffers amid a string of injunctions and promptive legislative efforts to rein in their authority. The House of Representatives last week passed the No Rogue Rulings Act in a 218 to 214 vote. Congress has the authority to establish jurisdictional limits under Article 3, Section 2, Clause 1 of the U.S. Constitution, which defines the type of cases and controversies for which federal courts have jurisdiction. In this case, the legislation would bar judges from issuing injunctions, save for an order providing for injunctive relief, except in the case of such an order, yada, yada, yada. We don't need to hear all the legalese. Point is you have all these lower courts where people are seeking venues where they essentially judge shop to get a particular ruling. And a lot of these rulings on the lower level are being sent up to the Supremes, who sometimes don't, nearly undefeated, but most of the time are like, no, actually the Trump administration's in the free and clear to do this. They've been very narrow, I'll say, in a lot of their rulings. Been careful not to give blanket stuff. But it's fascinating, the lawfare going on right now.
I think it was Molly. Going back to what I was saying.
Molly?
Molly. Molly.
272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. Let's see who this is on line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Soldier Boy, how you doing today?
Good. How you doing?
Thanks for taking my call. Mine's more of a statement. I don't know if you guys heard about it, and it just shocks me, but it shouldn't shock me, that a lady in South Alabama was arrested. On the first day, she used a drone trying to drop off a full pound of marijuana into a jail over the fence and over the wall. That's what I thought, too.
The modern day tennis ball.
They didn't catch her, so the next day she goes for a half a pound. Oh, man, next thing I know, my pizza is going to be delivered by a drone, too. I mean, they got marijuana being delivered to I mean,
man, I guess we got to start checking the skies and not just people's butts.
Absolutely.
How long you been sitting on that one?
Hey, I haven't been sitting on anything. What are you getting at here?
But isn't it amazing, though? People are thinking outside the box, you know? It's like, hey, I can get it in this. If I can't get it on my person, I'm going to drop it off. Next thing you know, they're going to have a helicopter or a plane just dropping it off. Boom. Drop it right in the jail cell yard. But first she went for a pound and a half a pound the next day. Goodness, I got to give that woman. They didn't give her any. I didn't know there's a law about the misuse of drones in the state of Alabama.
Of course there are.
I didn't know that, but they charged her with that too. I mean, they charged her with everything drug-wise. You know, contraband, trying to put it in a jail and prison and all that. But
she clearly broke a lot of good laws on that. Yeah.
I think she deserved a break. I mean, she thought outside the box.
So you're all for giving criminals breaks if they're like very creative about it.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't even think about it. Did you think about doing that?
No, I wouldn't. Well, I'm not looking to help out anybody.
No, but I'm just saying, what else? I mean, I guess you had to visually see the drone. I mean, maybe she should have done it at nighttime.
And it makes
'Cause I've
plenty of
seen
noise,
drones.
though, man. Like,
Well, not at nighttime. If it's got no light, if it's got no flashing lights running on it, it's quiet.
it's not that to carry a pound of something. It's not that quiet.
I know that is a lot of. That's a lot of.
Like these
weeds there.
drones that can do photo shoots. Like my dad has one. Like he was,
Uh-huh.
shooting his
commercials.
No, he was shooting my the birthday party for my niece Lucy, her first birthday party. And when I went out there, I'm like, "What is that noise?" And I look up, and there's a drone, and it's quite loud. So I guess they didn't have somebody checking the perimeter. And then how do you get such an obvious package? Okay, you get it over the wall, you get it into the facility. Who knew to be? I mean, this is some coordination here.
Well, that's
Well, there has to be some coordination because you got to be in the yard waiting for it to drop and trying to catch it.
Right.
With a nice big glove.
And then
Like an
immediately,
outfielder.
stuff it away. Yeah.
Yeah, and stuff it where?
Up your butt.
Yeah,
I gotta-
put it somewhere, Joey.
I got to run, Soldier Boy, on that note. That's a good way to finish.
Hey, she's got no bail for any of it.
Damn.
That's sad. I know that's what I said too.
Soldier
I think
Boy,
she would've-
looking
I think
out
she'd
for
go
the
for-
creative criminals in this world. I got to
Well,
run,
think
man.
that-
Appreciate it.
I think she would have gone for it a third time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think so. Thanks, man. 272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And they're at Montgomery Men's Health. They're ready to help you folks out, especially you fellas. Now, ladies, if you've noticed, like it could be a guy who's self-diagnosing. If you're a fella listening right now, you should. But there are a few women who listen. And if you noticed your man slowed down, like he doesn't have that so-called snap in his turtle, he's never in the mood. He really is low energy. He's fallen asleep like right after lunch. He's fallen asleep on the couch all the live long day. It's like, you just going to sleep your life away? It's not even good sleep. Like you're not sleeping well at night. And you're thinking, well, your husband's like, well, I'll go to that online like national brand. It's like, no, that's too generic. That's not. Those often don't work, or they might, but there's diminishing return. No. Here's what you need to do. You need to go to Montgomery Men's Health. Make an appointment there today. They have treatments that can actually have you feeling better the same day.
Mm-hmm.
The same day. But first, you got to get some work done. Like let them do a lab workup on you. It's really just a quick blood draw and a consultation that asks you a few basic quality of life questions, and they'll do it for only $99.
About how long? 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah, very quick. And if your score comes back, you do have low T. They have low T treatments there that can truly change lives. Men can experience higher energy, better gains in the gym. That's right, brother. Better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, a faster metabolism, and you usually even notice increased libido.
Mm-hmm.
A lot right with that. So come on, guys. You can actually book the same day you call. That number, 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com to book your appointment today.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
No one wants to wait on service for an overhead door. With 20 years in the industry, you now have access to the best with All Access Overhead Door. All Access Overhead Doors offers prompt professional service at affordable prices on all service and new garage doors for residential and commercial locations. All Access Overhead Door serves the river region and can take care of whatever you need when it comes to your overhead door. Remember, you have access to the best. All Access Overhead Door. Call and schedule an appointment today. 320-2440. And like them on Facebook. They sell the best and service the rest.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values. This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender. This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Our extended string of beautiful storm-free days continues, and now we've got a warming trend underway. Today, abundant sunshine, high temperature in the lower 80s, mostly clear, not as cool tonight, overnight low 53. Tomorrow, Good Friday, sunshine continues with a high temperature up to about 86. Pretty spectacular April weather. Saturday, partial sunshine. I think the high will be in the upper 80s, and we'll say mid 80s for Easter Sunday. I think it'll be a cloudy day and maybe isolated storms holding off till late Sunday or Sunday night. A better chance Monday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Trustworthy, accurate, immediate. Carrying your voice across the river region. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. It's 334-272-9228. Jeff Dice joining us a little after the 2 o'clock hour. Look forward to having him return to the program. But in the meantime, let's go to the artist formerly known as Howard Dean. Hello, sir.
What's up? Hey, how you guys doing, man? You know, I love this show. It's all over the place. So I'd like to do a bungee jump off a Soldier Boys thing about the drones in prison.
Okay.
So I got my own quick little story. I mean, I'm kind of early, so hopefully you'll give me. I got a couple of points I want to hit. So back in the day, my ex-wife's uncle works for the Department of Corrections up in Elmore, or anywhere, one of them prisons. And so he gets his son and his son's best friend, who happens to be a black kid that they adopted into the family. Nothing against black kids, but just see where I'm going. So anyhow, so they go to ROTC, they go through, they get out of high school, they end up going to work for the Department of Corrections, go through the cadet school and whatever they got to do for that. Well, the younger lad, who happens to be of a dark persuasion, thought it would be a good day one day because I guess you got to have some street cred. I mean, I don't know, but so he decides one day, 6 months in, he's going to take a one of them big gallon jugs of Kentucky Fried Chicken, you know, the big tub,
mm-hmm.
and he's going to put a little spacer in between and take like 3 cell phones, 4 ounces of Marijuana, and God knows what else, and then just stack the chicken breast back on top of that, and then walk in like, because he's got to I mean,
So, like, whereas in a Wes Anderson movie, they make these beautiful Bavarian cakes, in this situation, it's a bucket of fried chicken.
Yeah, fried chicken. And isn't that amazing? How stupid can you be? Is it because of the reset and the dumbing down and, anyways. And so.
Well, no, maybe he's brought chicken in before. They're like, they never checked the chicken.
So,
yeah, I know, but,
right.
but I mean, don't be, but maybe a white man could get rid of, they'll bring in watermelon and hats on. And I don't mean to be that way, but you just don't be so stupid as to think that a bucket of chicken, you're just going to bring in a bucket of chicken for lunch and have your phones underneath there. Now, let's get back to something more funny. You said you'd rather see, anyways, so Star Wars, I got a question because you guys are movie fans. Now, if we're going to space and we're, outside doing all these things, so back at the Star Wars movies, Empire Strikes Back, and two examples, they fly, leaving Hoth, fly into an asteroid, land. What they didn't know was a big old space worm. The vacuum of space. Now they could just get out there and just run around and do their thing. And I love Star Wars, but come on, man. And then the second example.
Wait, you're expecting Star Wars to be like scientifically sound?
Well, no, I'm not expecting. So I'm getting to the point. And so then the second example was the one of Luke after you're not my father. And he does a triple Lindy down through the tube, and then he comes out the bottom of Cloud City.
Yeah.
I mean, he's out in, there's a reason why Cloud City is floating up there because it's supposed to be a gaseous planet. Mm-hmm. So, and they're mining whatevers. Turns out in later books, you can actually get some crystals to make a lightsaber. But, so that being said, you can't just land out in space and, out there, and think of how high Cloud City, and I understand what you're saying, but I should believe that Star Wars is a true representation of what space would be like.
Yeah, it's not a documentary, man.
Yeah, I know, but obviously. But when you're my age, it goes to show you because there's that deceitful thing still that I'm going towards the blue whatever with Katy Perry.
Oh, the Blue Origin launch, yeah.
Yeah. So it's John Benet Ramsey, Oprah's husband, might as well be Big Mike's twin brother. Jeff Bezos is wife, and you set him on a phallic-looking
Yes, he did all that
cartoon and all of that. So, are we really going to accept all of that, or should we start calling it out? I mean, we do on places like this, but I mean, I feel sad for the people that believe all this nonsense.
No, I mean, I think the Blue Origin, they've been doing these Blue Origin launches for a while now, and they don't go very high at all, especially compared to SpaceX. Yeah, it really is like you're up there just where you experience a little bit of microgravity for like a minute or two, and then you come right back down. In fact, it's so not high up, it's so low altitude compared to like actually getting into orbit. This is why you don't see like the re-entry burns like you do with the SpaceX ones. They're heading back to Earth at the same speed and same rate.
I'll take that into consideration. It's just the point that, I mean, we're supposed to believe that they strap these women onto the top of this little nozzle, and they say it's the first 6-woman crew. But if you look at it, where were the astronauts or the actual, like the navigator and the pilot?
Oh, no, these things really do fly themselves. Here's my point and my point of view on this. I think these little tourism stunts are the stupidest thing ever. I've got a clip of Gayle King comparing herself to Alan Shepard. It's like, shut up, Gayle.
Right?
You idiot.
I mean, come on.
No, I much more prefer what SpaceX is doing. I thought, for instance, that recent all-civilian From 2 mission where they orbited the poles for 5 days was much cooler. The Blue Origin stuff, honestly, and they got what they wanted. It's a publicity stunt. I mean, the Katy Perry was obnoxious. Gayle King, even worse. We'll play the clip.
I can't believe they brought him back.
But this isn't the first time they've done this. Think of they did one of the first ones with William Shatner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but my only point is that if you're going to make it convincing to the masses, which, you know, they call it programming, look at the next programming on TV and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, but if you're going to make it convincing, I mean, I don't know if you saw the footages of China supposedly landing on the moon. It was probably not less than 10 years ago. And oh my God, you know, Dragon Ball Z looked more convincing than that.
So you don't think? Do you think we've been in space at all?
No.
Like not even during the Mercury and Apollo.
Obviously, you can go inside the firmament and get as high as you can get inside there, but to go, no, it doesn't line up. And I'm an open-minded guy. I hate to say that I'm a conspiracy theorist, but why give me these conspiracies and make me theorize about them? I mean, but if you just use your eyeballs, even with just the flat Earth thing, I mean, we've gone down this road. But
I'm just saying you have to justify a much bigger conspiracy. You have to justify a much bigger conspiracy.
But if you know that only an X amount of people own all the media, all the food, all of the fuel, all of this and that and the other, that you have to know that it's simply easy to spend money on that degree, like wiping your, you know, in the morning with one square if you're trying to conserve, because it's that ridiculous. The bloodlines, the powers that be, it's just so much bigger than people are willing to give it credit for. So at least open up the door for conversation as opposed to just sweeping it under the rug. Is probably why we're here anyway.
No, but the conversation, what do you mean? Millions of people are having this conversation. They're not sweeping under the rug.
I know, but the millions of people.
If these folks were, if the powers that be were so powerful, how are you even allowed to call this show? How is it that YouTube videos that are proponents of the flat Earth and the firmament and all this stuff, which is a very old idea. I mean, but you had Greeks that were coming up with the spherical Earth 2,000 years ago. But if how is it that millions of people are allowed to have this conversation on the interwebs if the powers that be are so powerful?
I love that you say that. We're all smarter than being. I love that you raise your voice and you're not yelling at me, but I mean, you're set in your ways. I'm not set in my ways. I'm just asking questions. And so the reason why, you know, I love this. So, I mean, well, if you can, it's as simple as this: who and why and how. I mean, if you got that money, I mean, think of a pyramid, like the food pyramid back in the day. Okay, well, the very top is.
Well, I mean, hold on. How do you know the powers that be aren't pumping out the flat Earth stuff in the same way they pumped out the food pyramid for certain reasons?
And that's a beautiful question. And the thing is that I don't know that the powers that be and what I hear, what I look at through the indoctrination box, you know, they used to call it the stupid box, you know, the TV, computer, the thing in your face. I can shut all that down, which I usually do. I mean, anyways, and just use my simple God-giving senses to see that it's a lot harder for what I see 1,000 different YouTube channels to convince me that it's one way than it is to just use my simple God-given observational prowess, if that makes sense.
You're a true empiricist through and through. Well, I appreciate it, sir. Good God.
Dude, have you heard about this Tartarian nonsense?
The what?
Some conspiracy theory. After some of this stuff, I've had to go down some rabbit holes just to see what all the wackadoos are into nowadays. But yeah, when you want a good laugh and to lose about 45 minutes of your life and never had that, Tartarians.
No, sometimes I'll meet, I think Howard, or the artist formerly known as Howard Dean, was just messing with me. Who knows? You can believe what you want. But I sometimes, like true conspiracy theorists, I'm like, here, read this novel by Franz Kafka called The Trial. Just read it. Read it.
Somebody
like the amount of rooms within rooms, door within door, like the absurdity of life can go quite deep.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people, very talented people, have already laid that out over the years.
That? Primrose's Stairwell?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fascinating. Anyway, how about this? Let's hit another quick break. We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, But whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Adams Drugs has been committed to the healthcare of the people of the River Region for over 62 years. We value the trust each customer has in our pharmacists, techs, and entire staff. If you have not experienced the difference of Adams Drugs and are not satisfied with the customer service that you get in the big box stores, we invite you to visit any of our locations and see how committed we are to your satisfaction. Adams Drugs offers a variety of services that you will not find in all pharmacies in the River Region. Personalized compounding, area-wide delivery, wellness screenings, immunizations, medication consultations, and specialized packaging, just to name a few. Visit us at our website, adamsdrugs.net, and find the location nearest you. Adams Drugs has 12 convenient locations to serve you. Your satisfaction is our number one goal. Adams Drugs is your local Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group with your Real Estate Minute. You're thinking of selling your home. Here are several ways to improve the look of your home and possibly the value. Number one, improve the curb appeal with trim bushes and cut the grass. Repaint the exterior where needed, and if needed, paint your front door. Number two, declutter the inside of the home by removing items that are not needed off countertops, dressers, and the den. Three, paint walls and trim where needed with a fresh coat of paint in a light color that will show off your home. Four, clean your oven and microwave inside and out, make it shine. Number five, professionally clean carpets or shine the wood floors with a polish or Bono. Six, clean out all closets or unwanted clothes, shoes, belts, hats, and donate them to a local charity. Finish any leftover repairs now, doorknobs, light bulbs, and closet doors. For a complete list and an in-person evaluation and consultation, call Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group, 221-2883 or 551-0225.
We all want access to care and coverage we need to stay healthy, but Farm Bureau health plans aren't the answer. They are unregulated and unreliable when it comes to covering you and your family. If you have cancer or another pre-existing condition, well, you'd be out of luck. Alabama deserves better than empty promises. Call your state legislator now and tell them to vote no on Farm Bureau health plans. Visit fightcancer.org/Alabama. It's time for real health insurance.
Paid for by the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
All the headlines the mainstream media won't touch. Your News Talk station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. This part of the program, in fact, the entire hour, as you just heard, brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And they are ready there at Alabama Home Mortgage to, well, help you out. Whether you're looking to purchase a home, first time you're purchasing a house, they can walk you through that home buying process from pre-approval all the way to closing day. Could be you just want to get ready. You just want to go ahead and get pre-approved and so you can start looking in the market. They can help you there. You can understand how much home you can actually afford and finance. And of course, they can also do a great refinance deal for you there at Alabama Home Mortgage. Maybe you're looking to get debt off your back. Recently we had a listener's hit retirement age. He wanted to reduce his monthly overhead. I think they saved him $400 a month.
Real money.
Amazing. Or it could be you want to reinvest in your property, your family. It's your money. You can use it how you wish to get yourself in the right direction. And they can help steer you in that right direction. Meet those goals at Alabama Home Mortgage. That number 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies like Kim and Madeline. Prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender. Again, Jeff Dice joining us a little bit after the 2 o'clock hour. After the top of the hour break. Look forward to having him back here on the program. Let's go to Papa B in the meantime. Hey, Papa B, how you doing?
Doing pretty good,
I'm in a weird mood. I'm looking forward to go see the opening night of Hamlet. I've already called to abolish the Alabama legislature today, and I got people arguing with me. We never had a space.
Your face in our hands, too. Our fate's in your
Oh,
hands.
just
dude.
don't,
I wish I was high right now. Daggum, what in the
just-
world is this?
just don't get into it with the flat earther on, while smoking your pot there and everything.
Yeah,
They're bad enough.
Sun.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
Yank them around a little bit. Yeah, they get upset, don't they? So, this whole deal about this, the Maryland dad, they're trying to gin up, got sent down to El Salvador prison and all that. I mean, it's just falling apart on them. They are trying. The left is trying, man. They're doing everything they can. I think they really want desperately another George Floyd moment, boy. I'm telling you, that would just suit their fancy just right. And I think they're looking for one. What do you think?
Oh, of course. I think there is a drive for an inciting event like you're talking about. And they just, they'll throw, run up the flagpole, see if it actually works, and then they'll move on to the next big thing.
Did you see Carville's?
James Carville?
Did you see where Carville basically sent out a video to the rest of the Democrats and said maybe we just need to shake hands and go different ways because this identity politics BS is.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't know if they're all clamoring for
losing James Carville. Are you kidding me?
Well, he's been lost for a while. Do you remember during the campaign, he was like, all these preachy women, all these preachy females.
But the acknowledgement finally that, the woke garbage is what's costing them. Like, I don't think I've seen someone as high up in the party.
Oh, yeah. No, there are a lot of smart Democrats that are, changing.
They know.
They won't say
They
that
know.
loud, though.
No, not yet.
Yeah. I mean, the ones that, they all know. Whether they're willing to do something about it is another thing, or even say something about it. When I say they all know, I'm talking about, the folks that are, like James Carville, on up into the party politics. They can see that this whole woke thing is just, man, it's not just an anchor. It's a massive hole in the bottom of their ship.
Oh, yeah.
It's sinking them, dude. So what are they going to do about it, though? Because I'm telling you, man, the radical left is just, they're embedded.
Their best hope is to
in that
pray
party.
that Trump's economic plan doesn't work and they can run on a bad economy for the midterms. That's, I think, their best plan right now, and put some of the crazies back in the basement. But we'll see. And I'm at the point of we really just have to wait and see. Maybe we'll start to see some of this bloom in the fourth quarter of this year, but it really needs to be humming about springtime next year, going into next summer, especially for America's 200th birthday. I think that's fitting. I got to run, Papa B. I got a guest coming up. Thanks, sir.
Thanks.
Jeff Deist after the break.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. A suspect taken into police custody and at least 6 victims were reported in a shooting at Florida State University in Tallahassee. The extent of the victims' injuries not immediately known. There were no additional details about the suspect who was in custody. Paris hosting a series of high-level talks about Ukraine and its security. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and presidential envoy Steve Witkoff are taking part. There are also meetings with countries considering a way to police an eventual peace deal. A power blackout has hit all of Puerto Rico as the heavily Catholic U.S. territory is preparing to celebrate the Easter weekend. The cause of the latest shutdown not clear, but Puerto Rico has chronic outages for years due to hurricane damage. On Wall Street, stocks are mixed. The Dow is down 300. This is SRN News.
Financing a home, especially in today's market, is one of the biggest decisions you'll make for your family. Work with a mortgage company that puts you first. I do. Work with a lender founded on biblical principles like do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. I do. It's Mike Gallagher for the only mortgage company I've used for almost a decade now when financing or refinancing Fellowship Home Loans. I'm friends with the owners, Mike and Brian. I even have them on my show occasionally. I know the care their team puts into every single customer. I can personally tell you that it's a smooth, stress-free process, and that's due to Fellowship's level of service and expertise that puts you in the right loan for your family and your goals. There's a reason Fellowship Home Loans is flooded with 5-star reviews. Whether purchasing a home or a cash-out refi to consolidate some higher interest debt, you can trust Fellowship Home Loans. Start the process. Make the call. 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by MPM Feed and Seed. It's time to get those gardens ready. From seeds to plants to fertilizer, MPM has what you need. Shop MPM Feed and Seed in Prattville, 1313 Highway 31 North. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, Saturdays, 8 to 1.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Our extended string of beautiful storm-free days continues, and now we've got a warming trend underway. Today, abundant sunshine, high temperature in the lower 80s, mostly clear, not as cool tonight, overnight low 53. Tomorrow, Good Friday, sunshine continues with a high temperature up to about 86. Pretty spectacular April weather. Saturday, partial sunshine. I think the high will be in the upper 80s, and we'll say mid-80s for Easter Sunday. I think it'll be a cloudy day and maybe isolated storms holding off till late Sunday or Sunday night. A better chance Monday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
You can make your ASC loan payments from your phone anytime, anywhere. It's quick and easy. www.yourasccu.com. Federally insured by NCUA.
ASD Credit Union. Your life, your cause, your ASD.
1819 News.
The Education Policy Committee within the Alabama House has voted and passed on legislation that is being offered by House Majority Leader Scott Stadhagen. HB 246 would prohibit any compulsion in addressing a student with preferred pronouns that are inconsistent with the person's sex at birth. Stadhagen wants the bill to offer protection to students and teachers in public schools to not receive disciplinary action if they refuse to use preferred pronouns and instead use pronouns consistent with the student's biological sex. The bill would empower monetary damage and relief if a school or university system takes disciplinary action against someone for not using the proper pronouns. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Did you know that 70% of people experience a potentially traumatic event in their lifetime, and that 6 out of every 100 adults face PTSD every day? Help us bring hope to these survivors by signing up for your Alabama Distinctive PTSD Awareness license plate today. The great thing is you can sign up no matter when your current plate renews, and the first year is complimentary. All you need is your VIN number on hand. Drive awareness, drive hope, and customize your plate today at atease.org.
A Jefferson County jury has issued a murder conviction and death sentence against a man in the death of 24-year-old Raven Swain. Swain was shot and killed in Underwood Park in Birmingham back in 2020. DeMarcus Chandler was found guilty of murder for hire in Swain's death. The other person involved in the murder for hire, Solomon Minity, will be headed to trial as well. An animal cruelty case has been dropped against a former Crimson Tide and NFL football player. Isaiah Buggs was charged last year when 2 neglected dogs were found at a home that he rented in Tuscaloosa. One of those dogs had to be put down. Recently, attorneys for Buggs have presented evidence that cleared Buggs of the charges. A man named Otis Lee submitted court testimony saying that he was hired by Buggs to take care of those dogs, and the man neglected to do so. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number 1 in the number 2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy?
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Joining us now, as promised, we have him on the phone today. We have Jeff Deist. Of course, Jeff was chief of staff for Ron Paul for many years and also president of the Mises Institute there in Auburn, Alabama for many more years. And now you're at Monetary Metals, right, Jeff?
Yes, indeed, Joey.
Well, it's what a day. And I guess I want to begin here. Is the Trump administration, because I thought this was a banger of a tweet, if I can use that sort of language.
Is the Trump administration a unique threat compared to, say, past presidencies?
That's a good question. I mean, we did have this little thing called a civil war in America, and I think we were pretty divided. And I think a fair number of Southerners saw the Lincoln administration as criminal. There was also this little thing called the New Deal. People don't recall because most of the people around were dead now, but Roosevelt was a deeply, deeply unpopular president, enormously divided the country. The same can be said for Woodrow Wilson and even the U.S. participation in World War I, because such a huge amount, a significant percentage of Americans at the time were of German ancestry. So, talking about fighting their first cousins back in whatever small town. And even people more recently can remember how divisive Clinton was. People, again, forget. Recent history, Clinton was a deeply divisive figure on the right for many, many years. So this idea that Trump or his administration, the people around him, have engaged in actions that threaten democracy or that bring fascism to America by threatening journalists or by deporting people or by admonishing CNN or whatever you might do, that's just absolutely preposterous. There have been far more dangerous, authoritarian, and frankly just wild periods in American political history by far. It's not even debatable.
And it seems like it's still so early in the Trump administration that you haven't even seen the fruits of this, much of their policy, whether it's rotten or ripe and wonderful. And I think whether it's trade, foreign policy, a lot of this needs to play out. And it seems like folks are still reacting to just the latest shiny thing every news cycle.
Well, yes, there is something. That's the thing about Trump, is he bombards you every day. And what that does, the effect of that is that it forces his political opponents to constantly be reacting. They're constantly on their heels. They're constantly put into the frame of an argument he created, like when he just one day says, "Hey, let's buy Greenland," or one day when he says, "Let's build a bunch of condos and have America own the Gaza Strip." And then, fast forward to today. Now we're in April. Everyone take a deep breath. Today we're going to fire Jerome Powell, which I'm all for, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
So, that's one of the amazing things about Trump is the sheer relentlessness of the man. And I think it's a huge political advantage for him.
And, I try to maintain that I still generally hold, for lack of a better word, libertarian ideals. And I get a little frustrated looking at certain folks saying he's not following the exact, say, rule if he really understood the philosophy of liberty and all this stuff. I'm like, guys, let it play out. For instance, this New York Times headline really got my attention, where it was Trump rejects an Israeli strike being pushed by the Israelis and a few in his administration against Iran. It seems like Trump's better senses to peace, as well as especially Vice President Vance, Tulsi Gabbard. And I was shocked to see Mr. Zionist Pete Hegseth actually saying, no, this is kind of a bad idea. So it seems like Trump's instincts are still in the direction of ending wars and not starting them.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
I really, really hope so. I do think that he has a deal mentality, and I do think he understands leverage in deals. And what the American people don't understand, especially I would say the evangelical right, is that Iran is not Iraq. Iran is a country of about 80 million people. It has an actual air force, an actual navy, an actual army. It does not have nuclear weapons, despite the hype I've been hearing for the last 30 years that they're on the cusp of a nuclear weapon. And they never seem to have one, and they have every right to have one as a sovereign nation in a bad neighborhood, by the way. But nonetheless, Iran poses a responsive threat to any sort of Israeli or American strike that Iraq and Afghanistan did not pose. And so I hope that somebody around Trump has explained this to him. I think most Americans know about as much about Iran as they know about quantum physics, maybe. And that's okay. It's not our job to know about Iran or all the trouble in the world, but it is our job to stay out of it, where it's not our interest. And I really feel like we should not be beholden to Israel on this. If Israel wants to strike Iran, that's their decision, I suppose. But unfortunately, given the relationship between the two the two countries, that would be seen as a proxy strike by America.
Right. And it's just, you made a point. You've been hearing the hype for 30 years. You know, last week we talked the release of the Dave Smith, Douglas Murray thing on Rogan. I watched it. I actually kind of loved it because both guys were perfectly in character. But for all the things you could pick as weaknesses, I thought Douglas's weakest point is when he laughed at bringing up the clean break memo and essentially laughed at the idea that the neoconservatives have been pushing stuff like this for a long time. And I said it earlier, I believe Netanyahu himself's been pushing stuff like this for decades. These are all just facts, right? Whether you like what they're doing or you hate what they're doing, these are just the facts as they lay.
Well, neoconservatives have dominated American foreign policy, regardless of who was president, since the 90s. That I think is unquestionable. And when it comes to neoconservatism, what we mean is an aggressive foreign policy, an expansionist foreign policy, a foreign policy that seeks to make America the unquestioned arbiter of all things across the globe that are geopolitical ever since the fall of the Soviet Union, to prevent China from becoming, let's say, an equal or close to equal in a multipolar world. Neoconservatives want a unipolar world, namely America.
Yeah.
And so I don't think this is largely in question. I don't think it's particularly popular when people actually get a chance to vote on it. I think that the Trump reelection in 24 was very much a referendum on bring things home, worry about domestic concerns. In other words, the main reasons people voted for Trump were domestic, overwhelmingly. And I think people are tired of these forever wars, and they're tired of the people who seem to get us into them, regardless of administration. I just found out that Douglas Feith, who's a very famous neoconservative, actually still had a job in the new Trump administration up till a couple of weeks ago. I mean, these people, they never go away. They regroup and they come back, whether Hillary's president, whether Obama's president, Clinton, Trump, it just doesn't matter. This underlying impulse that we've got to run the world, and this inability to see that this causes us a lot of headache and trouble is just something I don't understand. I don't know where it comes from. It's a psychology that just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, neither does it die, but it's just, in a way, I look back at that time period before the internet really went gangbusters. Some of what they did was pretty remarkable, like the stovepiping of, you have all these different voices and media outlets and think tanks and whatnot, and it's all speaking in the same voice. And I remember those days of watching Fox News where it's like all the folks from the Weekly Standard on there. And of course, Charles Krauthammer famously in the media pushing a lot of this stuff over the years. And you still hear those voices. They just don't seem to have the same sway. And to your other point about no matter who's been president, these folks have been kind of driving the car. It is remarkable to think George W. Bush ran on a more humble foreign policy in 2000. Barack Obama ran against these wars of choice. And of course, Trump said Bush lied, people died in South Carolina. And yet, even with Trump being a little better than I think the first two I just named, you still see this inclination towards war. Like it really seemed, reading this New York Times article, that the war machine, the actual Pentagon and the folks who make this, were already posturing and ready to go.
Well, war with Iran has been a U.S. war hawk and neoconservative goal for decades, going all the way back to the hostages, my gosh, with Jimmy Carter, right when Reagan came into office. So this is nothing new, and it is interesting that the American people, and I think largely thanks to the internet, have a much greater sense today of what we actually spend through the Pentagon, through all the ostensibly private defense contractors, through foreign aid, through all kinds of meddling through NGOs and other organizations. We found this out with USAID, for example. In other words, a lot of what we consider charity is really just thinly disguised American cultural imposition. Whether that's bringing feminism and gay rights, whether that's bringing abortion, whether that's bringing, Western ideas about all kinds of things. This is all part and parcel. It's not just a military imposition when we talk about being a unipolar force in the world. It's also a cultural, economic imposition through the dollar, for example. So it again goes to this this sort of paranoid Cold War mentality that the Soviets are going to get us. And now that the Soviets aren't quite the threat, well, we need the war on terror. And well, when the war on terror gets a little boring because it's been 10 years since 9/11 or whatever, well, then we need to shake this rattle against Iraq and Afghanistan or against Iran, or, now we have to worry about China and these trade wars, because what they, China the communist Chinese want to govern us. So there's always something. And it's just at odds with the American traditions, going back to Jefferson and Washington, and certainly going back to what you and I, Joey, call the old right in the early 20th century. I mean, it's grandiosity. This idea that the U.S. state and its apparati can do all of these things around the world. It's just grandiosity. There's no other word for it. It's megomaniacal, and it's not conservative. It is by definition, it's progressive.
Well, and you earlier today, I believe, or recently, we're talking about how progressives have run. Well, we often talk about this, how the progressives have dominated for so long. And just to reiterate the point, it's amazing, in the name of democracy, they've come up with these systems, and you'll see it in a microcosm like it happens here in the Alabama legislature. The idea isn't to work and figure out what your constituents actually think are good and what's popular with your constituency and the voters. Your job is to sell whatever leadership decides to sell. You should be able to, bad word, manipulate, or you should be able to persuade. You should be able to condition these folks out here to vote for you to actually move in the way we want them to. We don't need to react to voters. That's how you end up with, Hitler. That's populism.
We see this in every state, and we see it every bit as much in the red states. And it's perplexing to people. People think of Texas as a deep red state, and if you actually look at the Texas legislature, it is wildly to the left of its core constituency. I would argue that the same is true of the Alabama legislature.
Oh, yes.
I would argue that it all starts at the top with Kay Ivey. I think that the next governor needs to be far more Trumpian. I don't know if that should be Tommy Tuberville. I tend to think Senate to governor is not my favorite path. I think I'd rather see maybe a state rep or a big city mayor or something become governor. But there's just something about political power, and we've always known this, that immediately, even as tiny as, let's say, being in the Alabama State House might be, you still have a full-time job, you still have a family, you're still, it's not like you're making millions of dollars in illicit bribes or something because you're on some minor committee. But even a tiny amount of political power, being city council in Auburn, it just tends to change people, and I think it's the inherent nature of it. We got to guard against it all the time.
Yeah, and I've been trying to think that through, because I almost think the politics becomes more petty the less power you have. Like the small games played at the city council and even state level. I mean, there's plenty of Machiavellian nonsense at the federal level, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes. All you have to do is look at your HOA. or you could go watch the great movie Election with a young Reese Witherspoon about her high school, I guess, wanting to be student body president or whatever it is. That's exactly right. And so the inability to mind your business is, I guess, just one of those human frailties or sins.
Well, I always appreciate your time, Jeff. If folks want to check out what you're thinking about, writing about, how can they do so?
Well, they can always follow me on Twitter at Jeff Deist, all one word, or if you have an interest in precious metals, go to monetary-metals.com.
As always, appreciate it, man. We'll do it again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye now.
Again, that's Jeff Deist. Always appreciate his time here on the program. Byron Sheehy's still in the studio with me. And you were nodding your head to a lot of what Jeff was having to say.
Mm-hmm.
No, and we do see it in microcosm. Some of this is just how power works. I think as long as you're going to have a competition of will, a competition of different interests, there are certain games that are going to be played, and they do change a person.
Politics exists in any industry, every level.
Yes.
It's just, to your point, how you play it,
Well,
how
and
you prioritize things.
And I am of split mind on these sorts of things, where it's like there are folks that go in and start playing that political game thinking every day they're going to be Mr. Smith who's gone to Washington. And it's like, that's just obnoxious, number one, because you're not. It's very rare when you have that pure issue you're willing to fall on your sword for. It's very rare.
Didn't Churchill pretty much say the times create the politician? Politicians shouldn't create the times? Or that might be paraphrasing in a sense.
I don't know who was, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of ego that some of these people have, I mean, you can literally cut it with a knife. And like, dude, you've told me yourself, like, your vote doesn't even count because you're not going to step up and do anything against leadership. Like, why are you walking around with your nose up in the air?
But I think it's any path you pick. It's not like they're a narcissist in, say, media. Even like tiny little talk radio, local radio stations. It's not like people have narcissistic personalities and in that line of work.
And control the switchboard and everything. Nah.
Right. No, so I am of split mind. Like, if you're going to go play that game, you can still play that game and not completely lose the plot. You can still have perspective. And there are a lot of people that do, especially the folks who get out after some time. They're some of my favorite people to talk to because they've seen a lot of the stuff. They no longer have all these, say, necessities and demands on them to where they sometimes, even with politicians I get a feeling like I'm talking to somebody and it's a little bit of a hostage video. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it's like, can you just be you for a second? Let your hair down?
Some of these people are always on. You know, they're always selling. And you don't ever really get a glance or a chance to glance into who they actually are. And then some of them, that's all they know how to do. And those are my favorite people. You know, like the good senator from down in Louisiana. Something tells me he's the same way, whether he's in front of 100,000 people or talking to 3 people.
Right. And I also love how John Kennedy does what he does the political stuff. He's constantly winking, I'm doing a political thing. Like, he's sort of like, are you in on the joke, as we've talked about before? And I think that sort of thing's fine. But there are other times when everybody is so self-serious. And it's not really like actually just trying to work this thing through, but when they're really self-serious and it's a constant worry of image and it just ends up, or it's just a turf war. Like, how dare you even suggest I have to go along with something? People dig their heels in. It's kind of just nastiness.
It is. And I have to wonder or really question the motive of a lot of them. You know, one of our good buddy, Jack, he always taught me, he's like, I try to tell the candidates that I work with to place God, the Constitution, you know, the citizens or your constituents, place them in that order. And then you can vote how you want to after you satisfy those 3. But I'm afraid some of these cats now, and when I say afraid, I've actually heard some of them say it like, well, how do I profit? Profit's not on there, buddy.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to figure it all out here today, but it's frustrating nonetheless. Frustrating. I have, because I've got going to see the opening night of Hamlet on my mind. I've tried to learn when I don't get too worked up. I tried to learn and teach myself to watch the political drama play out like I'm watching a movie or like a Shakespearean play. Like, for every good guy, like, or heck, American theater this weekend with WrestleMania, brother, coming up. 2 nights of WrestleMania. Like, how good can the good guy be if there isn't a great villain to overcome? And by the way, in real life, it's doesn't exist, or it's incredibly rare to where it almost doesn't exist, that you have a pure good guy, pure bad guy. That's just not a common thing. And it's usually after the fact, after things get really bad, you distill that down. But just say, like, you think of a great story. How good could the hero be if he has nothing to overcome?
It's a lame story.
Right.
Sure.
And so everybody's got their role to play, including the most, like, opportunistic, crooked, and all this stuff. Like, I've lightly turned over no leaf with Lindsey Graham. Like, he's wretched, but he's perfectly wretched. Like, he knows exactly which way the wind's blowing, and there is something to that guy. It might not be the guy you vote for. It might not be the guy you're like, I respect him in every decision, but sometimes you got to respect the game. And you're like, he has his role to play. All these folks have their role to play, and watch it play out. If you're in the game, it's one thing to get all serious about it. You got money on the line. You got all the things you've worked for your whole life on the line. If you're a player sure, go. Like, I get why you might be serious. Don't get too serious though. But if you're just observing, like you just like seeing what's the latest in political news, or you care about a particular issue that's come up. If you're more just a spectator, like you're living and dying on an Iron Bowl Saturday, say Jordan Hare Stadium, like, yeah, do your living and dying there on that. But it's just, You're not in control of the game. See, it's more like watch the game play out, watch the battle go out, and don't lose perspective of like that's you don't have much. Like the cheering can help, like a big raucous crowd can help. You have your role, but it's not the same thing as the actual players on the stage.
Perspective. That's the magic word, man. Everyone needs to just kind of take a step back sometimes, and if we're not saving lives on that given day, realize that's the situation and not take things so seriously.
Yeah. Because if I get too worked up, it's like, man, I get into anarchist mode where I'm just like, man, this is all just like tear it down, burn it down.
The more you sit there with a magnifying glass, you also get into that same mode.
Yeah.
The more you look behind the curtain and see how the sausage is made, you want to not only never eat sausage again, but go kill the pig itself. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. No, and I think the role, if you care about, I say liberty, and I use that in the broadest sense of the word. If you care about liberty, the goal is to not let competitions for power, which will always exist, define too much of your society and who you are personally. Like it'll always be there, and even you, like folks like, I would never do what Lindsey Graham ever did. I'd never do what Kay Ivey did. I would never do what whoever did. You're like, yeah, you sure about that?
You probably aren't going to be in that position.
Right. But if you really put yourself in there, you sure about that? Maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you wouldn't. Good for you. But the goal should be there is a world elsewhere besides the fight over political power.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many things that matter more than that. And if you want a free society, if you want a society that really cares about not just liberty in terms of property rights and freedom from the government, but liberty in the sense of human flourishing, you need to create spaces that aren't dominated by that cynical game of politics so much, because the more things are defined by that cynical power grab, the more you're going to find, well, men become beasts. They constantly say, well, I know I'm doing a necessary evil here, but then it's amazing how they continue to expand the definition of what is necessary. They find more necessities to excuse more and more actions. There's that great final scene in Animal Farm by Orwell, where the animals are looking in and it's the men sitting down with the pigs. And initially they're playing poker, and they both sides play the ace of spades. They're both cheating. And then they get into a fight and a tussle. And I think the line's something like, and they look from man to pig and pig to man and man to pig and back again. But sooner or later, they couldn't tell the difference. Now, I think that's, you define yourself too much by that power struggle, the domination, that sort of thing, and comes in many forms. Yeah, that's how men become beasts and become monsters. So it's an interesting balancing act. I'll put it that way.
I love piece of wisdom that was given to me a long time ago. You shouldn't have to tell anyone about yourself. Your actions should tell other people exactly who you are. So when a politician stands up and says, you can trust me, or, I'm here for A, B, and C, he ain't there for A, B, and C. Do some digging,
272
Kick it around a little bit.
9228. That's 334-272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. This part of the program brought to you by Ashley and her fantastic team there at Pest Pro Services. At Pest Pro, they're ready to set you up. Make sure your home is jam up and jelly tight when it comes to, keeping those pests out. And they'll give you basic service, spray inside, outside. They can also add to that termite inspection happening every year. Make sure those termites never even get close to starting to eat through your property. If you're not getting inspections for termites done, you're playing with fire. It could be a very, very expensive problem. It's better just not even let them start. Don't even let them get going. And then, of course, mosquito season, especially as it warms up here in Alabama.
Already.
I mean, I'm already seeing the big ones.
Oh, I've already got like 8 or 9 mosquito bites from last night.
Oh, daggone.
Yeah.
See, I stay inside.
For about 45 minutes cooking dinner.
Ooh, that's no fun.
No.
And so what you need to do, folks, is get Pest Pro Services on the line, and they can treat those mosquitoes. It's a lot better than spraying yourself or lighting one of those candles up. Why not have them go direct to the origins of the problem? It's not like they just show up once. They'll get you on a whole plant. They're showing up 8 times a year at peak points when mosquitoes are around. Y'all check out Pest Pro Services today. You can always learn more going to their website, ppsriverregion.com, or search Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces, very active Facebook page there. Or you can call them direct at 265-9990. That's 9990. When you want to know, call a pro. Pest Pro Services, and be sure to tell them that Joey, that fella on the radio, sent you.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man, Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
At Guardian Credit Union, if it's important to you, it's important to us. We don't do banking differently. We do relationships differently. Want to secure a HELOC for home projects? So do we. Want to build your credit? So do we. Want to plan your next vacation? So do we. We're here to help with whatever's next, because whatever you want in life, so do we. Stop by any of our branches and let's plan your next step together. Guardian Credit Union, where you belong. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal Housing Opportunity. NMLS 912757.
Treat yourself to the home-style goodness of Epicure and Jack's Tavern. Enjoy their lunch special with meat and 3 delicious selections, a drink, and bread. Just $9.99 for seniors and $13.99 for regular size. At Epicure and Jack's, they're proud to serve meals made from scratch daily. They're not your typical fast food joint. They're your go-to for fresh, made-to-order goodness. Experience the taste of home at Epicure and Jack's Tavern.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com. This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number 1 in the number 2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Good morning. Do you have time for lunch today? My treat.
Absolutely. But what's the occasion?
I'm in love with the new 24/7 Express kiosk at Worth Cleaners. The kiosk is so easy to use, and I can drop off and pick up on my schedule. Thank you for sharing that tip with me.
You're welcome. I'm happy to have my lunch buddy back.
Have you tried the new Worth Cleaners 24/7 Express kiosk? This is the first service of its kind in Montgomery. Customers love the convenience of dropping off and picking up dry cleaning and laundry on their schedule, day or night, 365 days a year. Even if you've never used Worth Cleaners before, you can go to their location at 7825 Vaughn Road today and use their 24/7 Express kiosk. Instructions along with several descriptive photos are posted on the wall next to the kiosk to aid customers who are first-time users. Give it a try. Visit our Vaughn Road location or find Worth Cleaners on Facebook for more information. Your family's clothing is worth it.
Hi, I'm Jane Ray, account executive with Blue Water Broadcasting. Why should you advertise with us? Frequency sells. The more ads you can get on the air, the better the chances it will make an impact. Radio allows advertisers an inexpensive way to get their voices heard over and over again. Contact me, Jane Ray, by going to bluewaterbroadcasting.com to find out more. Blue Water Broadcasting, local folks helping local business.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. Our string of storm-free days is not over yet. Even the nights are starting to moderate a little bit with mostly clear skies tonight, overnight low temperature down to about 53. Tomorrow is Good Friday, and the forecast is spectacular, really. Plenty of sunshine again with a high around 86. We'll be in the upper 80s with partial sunshine on Saturday. I think Easter Sunday will be mostly cloudy with a high in the mid-80s. And any isolated showers or storms will probably hold off till late Sunday or Sunday night. A better chance on Monday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
CB&S Bank has a long history of stability and a legacy of serving our community's needs for generations since we began in 1906. At CB&S Bank, we're here for you. All loans subject to credit approval, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
We get Montgomery talking 24 hours a day. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Sorry, we were just having a little bit of a
moment
dance party off the air here. I mean, sometimes you eat a 5 milligram gummy and you just make a drum loop and you put the bass down and you put the guitar down and then you put the keys down and the synths down and then you stop it and start it all over again. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the air. That's 334-272-9228. Before I forget, this part of the program brought to you by Josh and Leslie Ryder there at Dillon Rings, and you've been by there many a time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they can do all sorts of stuff.
Best in the area, man.
Like watch repairs, or maybe you need a new battery for that watch, or it could be appraisals, could be spa treatments, like clean up that jewelry you wear all the time, make it shine and shimmer like it's brand new. Could be any just sort of repair. Could be custom design work. And maybe you were born here. What is it, April?
Oh, that's a good month to be born.
Because do you know the birthstone?
Unfortunately, I do.
You do?
Unfortunately.
Oh, unfortunately, you do. Yeah, I'm looking at Dillon Rings on Facebook right now saying the diamond is the birthstone for April. And I believe Josh is going back into, say, ancient civilizations and the myths and the beliefs around jewels and gems and diamonds. Many ancient civilizations believe that this king of gems was lightning made real on Earth. Sometimes I think we have too much of a literal mind in our world. What a beautiful sentiment, a poetic sentiment. Lightning made real on Earth. They also, in those times, believed diamonds had incredible healing powers, such as the ability to cure brain disease, alleviate pituitary gland disorders, and draw toxins from the blood.
Cure broken hearts today.
And if you're just looking to shine bright because it's your birthday here in April and you want a diamond because that's your birthstone, get by Dillon Rings. They'll have stuff already in stock, but of course, Josh Ryder can do custom design work, and the man is a true artist, truly talented at what he does. So y'all get by there. It's 119 Brown Springs Road here in Montgomery, just off of Atlanta Highway, so the back end entrance to the AUM complex. Or I always remember it because I worked for several years at Fun Zone, the funnest of zones. And yeah, so it's like if I was going to work, I would go right by Dillon Rings there.
How old were you when you worked there?
Junior in high school and senior in high school.
You'd be buying a ring from Dillon's Ring about 2 or 3 years after that.
Well, I remember, and again, y'all tell Josh and Leslie that Joey and Byron, those fellas on the radio, sent you. No, I remember with Fun Zone, my mother in particular. My dad, though, backed her up. But my mom was always the heavy. I mean, she just was that way. My mother's like, you leave the house and you don't come back until you have a job.
Mhm.
That was like 16, 17 years. I'm like, okay. I didn't want to. But, put on the khakis and the button-up white shirt. Like, go out there. And I'm driving around Montgomery. I'm like, I don't want to work at a fast food joint. I don't want to be a delivery driver. Like, what are the jobs you can get in high school? And then I see it on the horizon. Fun Zone Skate Center. I'm like, that could work. So I go in there. There are 3 employees that were using, like 2 big dudes using a very attractive lady as a jump rope. Like in the middle. I'm like, what in the world? I go in. They hired me on the spot. And then they said, do you have any other good Catholic boys that want to work here? I'm like, yeah, sure. So like 3-4 dudes from Catholic all worked there. And it was a great job. I mean, it was, there were times where I'm like, can't believe we get to do this. It was a pretty good gig.
That's how most first jobs are, I think.
I mean, I couldn't have gone with a better job. Really.
Mine was even easier than that. Made snow cones.
And I met some good folks there. And then, when you do those lock-ins, like you just have certain memories and experiences. And it's cool to see a lot of folks came out of that and are still doing well. One guy went to Special Forces and really he's doing great. And on some fall face of the earth, I don't know. But you got to look back on those times. I'm like, that was a job where by the way, being cloistered in the small Catholic enclave in the city, that's where I really started to get to know Montgomery. And my takeaway from that is actually everybody, despite their flaws and all this, everybody's pretty cool. Most people. There were a few run-ins where like, you don't know how to behave. You have no home training.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's wrong with you? God, and I remember usually I did Sunday skate. So it was old school skate. And I love old soul and funk music and all that stuff. So that was a lot of fun to play. But one night I got booked to be the DJ for Saturday night, which was the latest music. And I think at the time it was like Usher. And remember Usher's song, Yeah, with Lil Jon produced it? All that. Yeah. And another hit song was, I'll just tell the story. They gave us these oversized hoodies that were like fluorescent glow in the dark. I'd lost mine. I don't know where it went. Thing was great. It was oversized, and to where so oversized when I put the hood on, you couldn't see me. Couldn't see my face. It was so long it would cover my hand. So I'm just up there in the booth, like running stuff.
Right.
We already had pre-made playlists and things. And, we would take requests. And this girl, she had to be 12, 13. It was just standing right down, because these DJ booths at the skate center are way high up. And I could hear them though. Hey, mister. And I looked down and she goes, "Do you play Laffy Taffy?" I'm like, what do you know about Laffy Taffy? And I threw my hood back. And they're like, a ghost. And then I played Laffy Taffy and it was like, whatever. But it's like, you're a child. What do you know about Laffy Taffy? Dadgummit.
Shit, I'm trying to think of some of the songs we used to roller skate to.
I mean, there's Roll Bounce.
No. Like,
let me see that Tootsie Roll. That definitely ran on heavy
more
remake.
like some of the 70s stuff.
Oh,
yeah, some straight up.
Well, Will Smith sampled it, but Greatest Dancer or Boogie Oogie Oogie.
Yeah.
A lot of disco inspired stuff.
You remember that? It was Roll Bounce, I think was the name of the movie.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Especially having worked at a skate center for so long. I love that movie.
There's not too many movies about working at a skating rink. You got your working at a water park, working at a golf course. Not too many roller.
No, and it really, that movie captured the folks I got to know there. It is great. Like, it really is, for the most part. There, I guess, maybe a few bad memories. Most part, it was all good vibes and everybody having a lot of fun.
I'm glad you got to walk down memory road today.
Yeah, I'm glad I did too. Anyway, that's all about thinking about Dylan Rings. 272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. Pamela is here early.
Classing the place up.
How are you, darn?
Trying to get my life together. I'm
Oh,
good.
aren't we all?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, aren't we all? You ever work at a skate center?
No. That is where I had my first kiss as a child.
Oh, my.
I know. Yeah, fun memories.
My first kiss was in preschool. We were under the impression that if you put a blanket over us, nobody could see us.
Oh.
Yeah, it was cute.
My first
I think
kiss
I
with a
was 7.
woman
I think
had
I
to do
was
with
7.
You were 7?
At this, skating rink party.
No, my first kiss with a woman is while I'm at Fun Zone, and she was in college,
Uh-huh.
and it was like, and it was a bet.
Okay.
We were bowling after work.
Who was betting? Your friends or her
My
friends?
friend
Okay.
Troy bet this chick. I bet Joey isn't going to strike out. Where I got to get 3 strikes. If Joey gets a turkey, you have to make out with him. And I did not
That's
have
a good wingman.
I was not a good bowler.
That's a good wingman.
It was a good move on his part. And I got a turkey.
Dang.
Yeah.
Have you done that again in your life?
Nope. I just had to rise to the occasion. Then I had to sit down.
Oh, God.
Anyway, to be young again and awkward and just completely neurotic. They'll think I'm bad now. Think about me at 16.
Where's Eddie when you need him, huh?
Oh, I know. Well, it's so he can infantilize me. Him and Jacqueline, Jay Quellen, just my little Joe, and Greg does it too.
Mm-hmm.
Still does it. I'm 36 freaking years old. I know I'm a bit of a man child, but come on, y'all.
I mean, with that baby face in the hair.
Yeah, I know. Can't have nothing
for very long. So enjoy it while you got it, buddy.
So have we learned anything today? I know I'm asking that early. We usually ask that later, but we learned that Dollar Tree is getting gentrified. There are more high income consumers going to the dollar store.
Really?
Yeah. And so they could raise their prices. Can't have nothing. Yeah. And I just got in that whole class war fight with Eddie earlier on Tuesday. And now I guess, people who live up where the air is crisp, like I do, have to start shopping at the Dollar Tree.
I don't know if it was reported earlier, but I saw where apparently there's one single company here in the United States that out of all the rare earth metals that China's going to put tariffs on that we're not going to be able to, receive or whatever, like all but one are covered. Thanks, Trump.
Thanks, man. Oh, I didn't mention this yet. Federal judge rules Google operates illegal monopolies. Could force the breakup of Google as we know it.
Duh.
That's an earthquake in terms of the economy. That's a heck of a thing.
Yeah, but
we'll see how it actually works out.
Long overdue, in my opinion. I mean, if you can break up Ma Bell, I don't understand why these tech monopolies are standing.
I've always been suspicious of antitrust, though. That it's just another means for competitors to use the government to.
Well, probably so, but that's a better evil than having a monopoly in place.
Sure. Well, and then also you look at how much does Google rely on the government to have their current, how much funding they get initially, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. Who really needs whom in this situation?
Right. There's definitely all that going on, but that's a big deal. A lot of people have been stumping for that for a while, and now it isn't official yet. That's just an initial ruling. This will, of course, continue to play out. But Google very well could be broken up and not what we thought it, not as we know it today. Also, I believe Trump just said today they're bringing in the top 15 economies other than China to really negotiate, get that done first. And there are a lot of folks thinking what you're going to end up with. It's kind of like, the Bretton Woods Agreement, but it'll be the Mar-a-Lago Accords.
Yeah.
And it'll essentially reset the global economy and reset the terms of trade for the United States. That's a big goal, but, Trump keeps aiming high and pushing that stuff out there. So.
Check that dude out, Miran.
Miran?
Yeah, Miran.
What's his first name?
Stephen.
Because the first thing that came up in Google was Miranda Lambert. I don't think that's who you're talking about.
So the Mar-a-Lago Accords is based on a publication that he put out a few years ago.
Okay. Very cool.
It'd be interesting after you read it to go through point by point. Mm-hmm. The one that...
Well, now I've got Hey There, Mr. Tin Man stuck in my head.
Oh.
Such a poignant song.
It is.
Yeah.
Point 4. Check it out.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. I'll definitely have to check that out. Let's go to line 1 real quick. You're on there. Who's us?
Hey, I'm here representing Eddie Bader.
Oh, okay.
Joey, I have a 2-part question for you.
All right.
One, you said the first time you kissed a woman, why did you feel the need to give that qualifier?
Because my first kiss, I was like 4 years old, man.
Oh, okay. Well, it's still female then. Okay, we just needed that clarification.
No, I appreciate that. That's a great clarification. Thank you for that. People might have cut off the clip beforehand. Yeah.
And Pamela asked if that had ever happened again, and you said no. Do you mean strike out or kiss a woman?
I meant the strikeout.
Are we talking
I'm sorry,
the whole
Joey, I had to.
strikeout?
No, these are great questions. I'm glad to clarify.
Yeah. Anyway, Kilroy was here.
Thank you, sir. If he had asked another one and be like, you are fake news. What a stupid question. The stupidest question. For this, let's hit a quick break. Hopefully have Ray Bowles on the other side. We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Hello, everyone. Robbie Pelt with Capital City Roofing. If you think about it, your home is your biggest investment in life. Your roof covers your home, so why jeopardize your biggest investment on a roofer you don't know anything about when you can deal with a reputable roofing company like Capital City Roofing? We have an A+ Better Business rating and the best manufacturers and workmanship warranties available. We do all residential and commercial roofing applications that are certified through the manufacturer to ensure you get the best material and workmanship money can buy. We also have your project in our best interest before and after construction has been done. Don't hesitate to call us if you have any roofing issues or questions. We will match any of our competitors' price and give you the same great workmanship warranty. We also give free estimates. Give us a call today and let us show you the difference. 277-3311. That's 277-3311. Or you can check us out on the web at www.capitalcityroofing.com. Capital City Roofing. We capitalize the roofing.
With spring officially here, Pizza Perfect has sprung a great deal for April. Get a free order of breadsticks or cinnamon sticks with the purchase of any large pizza. That'll make the whole family smile. Pizza Perfect's amazing buffet includes pizza, as well as spaghetti, breadsticks, salad, dessert, and drink for only $13. The buffet is available Monday through Saturday for lunch and for dinner on Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. Pizza Perfect is also available for pickup and delivery. Pizza Perfect on Coliseum Boulevard in Eastbrook.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
If it concerns your community, you'll hear about it on News Talk 93.1. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. Hey, Ray, how you doing?
We're doing great today. I got my invisible friend Bart in the car with me.
Hey, Bart.
He don't want to say nothing. Hey, man. Oh, you said something. Steve Real. I told you he was live. We're actually heading back from Talladega. I'm driving a very nice, safe speed. I'm only going 6 miles over the speed limit. And that's because there's a sheriff in front of me and I'm chicken passing.
Oh, he's keeping you honest out there.
Everything in my body's saying, go around him, go around him, go around him. I'm like, no, I better not. That's the devil on that one side saying, you can do it.
Go for it, man. Go for it.
But, hey, listen, summer is coming up quick. We got all these schools that are getting priced out, that everybody's ready to go on vacation. And if you're thinking about taking a vacation, there's no better time to get your floors done than while you're gone. We can either put a lockbox on the house, or you drop a key off with us. We'll come in there, knock everything out while y'all are gone. And you're never so excited about coming home from vacation as when you have a project being done or completed and you know you're going to walk into a brand new floor. It makes it a really fun trip.
Yeah, because you usually have the coming home blues, but if you get to see a brand new look to your home, yeah, that's awesome. I love that idea.
So just keep that in mind. Call us 285-8117. We'll come out and give you that free measurement. Next thing you know, we got a new floor down. Just that simple.
Again, that number is 285-8117. When you call them up, be sure to say, hey, I heard Ray Bowles on the radio with Joey Clark.
Hey, y'all have a great day.
Thank you, Ray.
You too.
In 272-9228. Now I have theater on the mind, not just Shakespeare, but WrestleMania, brother, coming up this weekend. Looking forward to that.
I am becoming very aware of how responsible I am for my algorithm on TikTok.
Oh, of course.
Because all I am seeing right now is wrestling
Really?
and the Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia.
Oh my God. How did that get in there?
Oh, they're hilarious. I saw one video and liked it, and I was like, oh, here we go.
Well, you know, thinking about Hamlet, how many quotable lines like the whole to be or not to be speech, or the whole Polonius to thine own self be true, and yada, yada, yada. But here's actually, I think, my favorite speech of the play. This is Richard Burton, who's just doing Off the Dome. It might not be exactly as it's written, but it's actor Richard Burton doing, I think, well, one of my favorite speeches in all of literature.
But wherefore I know not, lost all my mirth, forgone all custom of exercise. And indeed it goes so heavily with my disposition that this goodly frame, the earth, look you, this brave o'erhanging firmament, this majestical roof fretted with golden fire, seems to me no other thing but a foul and pestilent congregation of vapors. What a piece of work is a man. How infinite in faculty, in form, in moving, how express and admirable in apprehension, how like an angel in movement, how like a god, the beauty of the world, the paragon of animals. And yet to me, what is this quintessence of dust? Now, I have an idea that probably I got a few words wrong in that, but that's where familiarity breeds contempt.
Familiarity breeds contempt.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, cheer up. He did say firmament, so I got all those folks who want to argue with me about space. Like, see, even old Shakespeare was about it. But no.
Old idea.
I still think the Blondes did a beautiful thing having the theater there. And despite, let's say, political differences, I think everybody would be improved by taking, say, some of the classics a little more seriously as we make sense of this world. Because if you want to understand that, then you need to understand, yes, Greek and Roman, say, history and literature to a degree. But you really want to understand Shakespeare, read the Bible. And if there's always a good reason, you always need to find new reasons, maybe go in and read, in particular the King James, if you want to get used to the language. And if you want to know how crazy I am, sometimes I'm listening to stuff like that while I'm lifting weights.
I don't know how you would do that.
Well, just power through, brother. Well, y'all stay tuned. Y'all are doing the stream again?
We are.
If folks want to find it, what, it's Happy Hour with Greg Budell on YouTube?
And Greg's profile on Facebook.
On Facebook. We all stay tuned, and I think David Blackman's coming up on the show.
He is.
And so I'm happy to see the streaming is now set up for Happy Hour.
I know, it's fun.
Good job.
Thanks.
Now, y'all stay tuned.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.